I never thought I would live to become 30 years old. Yes. When I was leaving the University of Lagos, death was hanging all over me. So in 2019, all those young people that you saw who were saying that they wanted new, they were all working for the same master. And when I saw through it,
wow.
I didn't waste my time. Where's Fela Durotoye? APC. He's a special assistant to advisor to Tinubu. They don't appoint you as a special advisor overnight. You don't get what you they do for them.
When they special.
Nigeria has an Igbo problem. And I'm not saying it to please people who are known as Igbos. There is a secret memo in government that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. Don't give them position. Don't give them opportunity. Otherwise, they will overrun. It's a well-known fact. For an Igbo man to survive in Nigeria, as it is currently put together, Nigeria must break.
Wait, the meeting you had with Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes.
You are telling us now that Nnamdi Kanu...
The DSS headquarters. Yes, is it the same DSS people who are watching BB Nigeria from morning to night? No, it's true now. Don't you know what happened, the called pogrom in this country, where people were slaughtered and their bodies and their heads placed inside the train going down south? Where they were slaughtering them and sending their bodies and their heads inside calabash and sending on trains that was heading east.
Were they Easterners?
They were Easterners. Yes, no. Before you discovered Peter Obi, I was already running for president. And now because I look small.
The Honest Bunch podcast is brought to you by Reseda, Lenfi, Seymour Global, Declan Wines, and Workman.
Season 6 is giving what it's supposed to give, Abi. We told you now. Welcome to the Honest Bunch podcast. Before you realize I don't get respect. Ladies and gentlemen, we are super grateful that every Monday at 6 p.m. or any other time, you're there. We curate this great content for your viewing pleasure, and we hope that it would impact your lives. See, this season 6, like we don't talk, brands when be said and they're strong, they stand for our back. And we say we dey partner with these people to give you an update when go help you. Let me begin first with Reseda. Now, a lot of people are looking to invest in real estate, but I beg you, may God no let us go invest for where we'll come they cry. But if you don't want cry, invest with the right people, Reseda. Now, people will be say, we feel trust. And we beat our chest to talk, say, these people then go deliver. Just slide into their DM, give them the information. Tell them, say, that from the Honest Bunch podcast, they go treat you extra special. Now, if they treat you extra special for there, you know, say your house too, suppose they extra special. If na floors, if na walls, if na door fittings, if na interior decoration, if na exterior, if na home or corporate furnishing, you know, say na Seymour Global Resources. Anything when they your house, just make it see more, so that when people come into your house, they will respect you and see more. From there, as you watch the Honest Bunch podcast, remember, say, if na exquisite, you suppose to enjoy your Declan wine. Every pour, a story. Every sip, a memory. Declan wine. I know that, say this Declan wine. Our girls, you know what this Declan wine does. No problem. I know. But make sure you watch this episode finish before you now get busy with other things. Declan wine. Then, if you're a Nigerian who is in the country, or you're a Nigerian who is in the diaspora, it is very, very easy for you now to maintain your property. Just sign up on the Workman app. You see professional artisans and service providers, you go find them for there. You no go get any issues at all. Why do you want to stress Momsi and Popsi? You there abroad, everywhere soft, based on the way organization dey. And you want me Momsi, they follow plumber, they follow electrician. No now, or even cleaner. No now. It is very, very easy. Just cross your legs, sign up on the Workman app, and let Workman run this thing for you, and the professionals provide the service. Now, for our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, I know you like to send money. You don't want stress, Abi. Lemfi is here to make it easy and convenient for you. Zero transfer fees, best rates, quick and reliable. Now, Lemfi. na lemfi. And we don't tell you, say, for the first time when you dey send, if you sign up using the referral code HBPOD, that's Honest Bunch Pod, HBPOD, the first $100 and above where you send, you will get $30 cashback. Now only lemfi fit run am for you. And it get countries for Africa where we say you fit send money to. So whether you're a resident in the United Kingdom, in Canada, especially the United States of America, now Nigeria, you want send them to na Cameroon, na Tanzania, na Benin Republic, na Ghana, na Uganda, na Rwanda, na Senegal. Lemfi go run am for you. Lemfi, let me give you a high five. High five. Lemfi. Now, the introduction of the amazing quartet. By my immediate right, ladies and gentlemen, Ada Itemwan, Egovi Nunwa, 60-feet container on the high sea. The light has come. We want, and by the special grace of God, incoming. Ladies and gentlemen, Ezinne Ugoji, Zini Posh, Ezinne Mama. Isokwa. I like your
mesh. I know you don't know it.
Oh, sorry, I would have called it shimmy. Oh, it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, one beautiful Nigerian woman, two beautiful Nigerian women. And what is more, if you throw in intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, our Gen Z body with home training, the one who has not Sanle and listens to Mama with the fear of God. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people just listen to her voice and say, I want to watch this episode. She's already making sense, even before she talk. The beautiful, delectable, drop-dead gorgeous, Deity Cole!
Hey, chummies.
These days, we ask Lagos Island to her name.
Stop now.
Ladies and gentlemen, our eldest brother, the one who takes the head of the cow when it is slaughtered. A man who you can liken to a well. Because you draw. It will not finish. In the Old Testament, if he were, he would have been Solomon. Examples plenty. Wisdom plenty. A man of enchanting physiognomy, many degrees and characters. Nedu was up here.
Why Solomon? Why not David?
No, wisdom and power. Ladies and gentlemen, yours truly, Ezugu Chukuri, aka husband material. God resists the proud. Let's leave it at that.
All right.
Our guest is somebody who aligns with the quote that if you do not stand for something, you would fall for anything. And if to say, then no, say, it go turn out like this where they born am. Maybe then for do in naming ceremony for 1 week straight. Because the impact when it don't make, now something will be say, they shake the whole world. Born in SE06EP02 in Ondo State, in southwestern Nigeria. This young man, who was born into a polygamous family, took on responsibility at a very young age. At 12, when you they run up and down with boxers, he don't learn how to ride motorcycle. He would drive to the lake to fish and also use it to fend for his family before heading to school. In school, exceptional brilliance added a lot of value. He's like a mishmash, a potpourri, a salad of greatness.
Come on.
He sabi book like Professor Wole Soyinka with a sprinkling of Chinua Achebe. If he come to the fight for justice, you go to see Baba Gani Fawehimi and Femi Falana. If he come to say, make he stand, if you talk, say you want push him, you no go agree. Like the women that stood up against colonial rule, the Aba women, the Aba women's war. And when it comes to resistance, he's a revolutionary in the mode of Che Guevara. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and the only Omoyele Sowore! AOC!
Take it back.
Take it back. Baba, no waste time. We'll just go straight into the conversation. And I'm very certain that people who would watch would learn new things about you. And most importantly, it would impact their lives. Very interesting place to begin from. If anybody that does a quick search of you on Google would see this photo of yourself and Chief MKO Abiola. Chief MKO Abiola, winner of the presidential elections in 1993, and who at the time was the richest African. Just tell us the story behind that photo.
So it was in 1993. I was about 21 years old.
Wow.
And the military had
21.
Yes. The military had just annulled the June 12th election, Babangida, and we started protesting immediately. But while the protest was going on, we had concerns about whether Abiola was strong enough
to fight
the battle that we were ready for, battle of our lives. Because at that particular year was the year I was supposed to graduate from university.
Okay.
1993. So one day, we drove directly to his house in the student union bus and walked into his parlor. We asked that we should be allowed to see him. So we broke all the protocols, entered his parlor. And you know Abiola now, big man, big gates. And when we walked in, he said, who are these people? And I stepped forward and said, student union leader, I know you. Good job. I said, before you say any other thing, are you ready for this battle? Are you ready to die for Nigerians? He said, yes. And I said, secondly, because as we walked into the room, there were all these politicians sitting around, all of them clutching their bag because
They don't share money, give them.
Coming to collect money. And Abiola had a big duffel bag of cash beside him. And he was talking. They were all bragging inside there. I said, all these people that you see, we know them. These people don't believe in your mandate and they will abandon you.
Wow.
So focus now on how to fight this battle. You know, he's a person who doesn't like that kind of controversy. So he quickly reached out to his duffel bag, started counting money, 800,000 naira. Drop on our side. Say, student union leaders, transportation. I say, Chief, forget transportation. Which transportation? Go carry me from Unilag. Come here for 800,000.
1993.
Say, we are not taking your money. Say, no, I've never given money to anybody before and they rejected. I say, you are meant to first people. Because that day I was wearing slippers and I was wearing my only Ankara, my Christmas dress. And when he saw that the politicians were not happy and I was very firm. And Chief Anthony and Nahoro was also there. And Nahoro was saying, this young boy is right, Chief. So he quickly stood up and in an attempt to just solve the tension in the room, escorted us out. As we're heading out, John Momo, who is now the owner of Channels. Television, was his own only reporter at that time and his cameraman. This is the story of Channels. So John Momo has been waiting outside to try to interview him. He just approached him, Chief, this is John Momo, Channels. Before he could say it, he started addressing him. And that was how I stood firmly behind him that day. Just again to assure him that we will be behind him for as long as he too stand firmly on his mandate. So that was the history of that picture and also a video of me behind him. And you could see that I was looking very angry, but very firm. And turns out it was the first and the last time I met him in person. Because during our time as the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS at that time, NANS today of blessed memory, we did not support the transition program of the military. So we did not support Babangida because we didn't believe that he would hand over power. But the moment the election was held, and it was a peaceful and credible election to the best of our knowledge, we decided that we would support them shooting themselves in the foot. So that was what took us to that space on that day. In fact, I never knew that this footage existed until 2018 because the guy who was working at Vanguard, Tunji Oyeleru, is the photographer, had the photo. He saw me and said, I took a picture of you and Abiola. That was after Abiola had been arrested. And he never gave it to me until he died. So I just woke up one day and somebody sent me this photo, this video of John Momo interviewing Abiola and me. I think there was also an interview I did, but I never got to saw that. I mean, get to see that because I also did want the military to leave power, and you would think that we're bigger than who we were, but we're actually mightier because of our ideas and our focus and courage as young people. And like I said, this was when I was 21 years old, but I didn't get to graduate in 1993. I didn't graduate until 1995. Because I was expelled that year.
Why? Because of the election?
Why?
Yes, we were expelled. I was expelled twice. I was expelled first in 1992 when we did the protest known as Babangida Must Go, which was trying to force Babangida's hand to hand over power. So they expelled all the student leaders who were involved. Were 47 at the University of Lagos. And also in 1994, as we continued the struggle, I was also expelled again. So I did not leave the University of Lagos until 1995 officially.
When you were expelled,
Yes.
Was your dad still around?
It was. That's very interesting. So the and this is how to understand the way Nigeria works. This country has been designed to be oppressive and sneakily so. When I was expelled the first time, we were on holiday and I was at my uncle's place. He works at Central Bank in Festac, when Festac used to be.
When Festac be
Decent
Festac,
a little
not
bit.
be now.
And they did not send me the letter of expulsion. They sent it to our village. They sent somebody from the University of Lagos to take the letter of expulsion to my village.
To Ondo State.
When I was admitted, they did not send my admission letter to Lagos, to my village. They sent it to Otta, where I was living. In fact, I almost missed my admission because they just sent it by mail. But this one, they had somebody. And don't forget at this time, to get to my village, you have to take a vehicle to a place called Okitipupa or Ibokoda. You now take a boat for an hour to Igbekebo, and you then take Okada, what you know as Okada now, which we used to call it Mejamelo in our area. Then you get to be on a canoe to get to my village. They took it there in one day. And my father saw the letter, of course, because I was sent to school by the community. My father was heartbroken. So he got on the next available bus to Lagos, came to see me, came to my uncle's house, and showed my uncle that I was expelled. My uncle, thinking that I was not the person that was expelled, denied. He said, this is a mistake. Of course, I knew why I was expelled. So when I walked in the evening, because I was on vacation, and it was a school break, and I was working at a place called Rank Zeros in those days.
Photocopy and all those
Yes,
things.
he was selling photocopiers. And when I walked in, my father didn't greet me, and I immediately knew what had happened.
Trouble.
My uncle was like, when you finish it, we would like to see you. So they showed me the expulsion letter, and I initially denied. I said it was a mix-up. So the next day, I took my father to the University of Lagos. And at that time, police was looking for me, and went to see the dean. And the dean asked where I was. My father said, I'm outside. He said, you better take your son and run. Because they're looking for him as one of the people planning to overthrow the government. That was my first expulsion. It was a period that Beko, Gani, Olusegun Mayegun was not president then, and Fela were arrested because of the protests.
This Fela right now,
Yes,
Faz's father.
Faz's father. And they were arrested and taken to Kuje Magistrate Court in Abuja and charged for treason, for trying to overthrow the Babangida regime. So we were the co-conspirators, the accessories to that crime that they were looking for. So the dean is like, please run. So that was my first expulsion. And that was my father's experience. So now way back from the University of Lagos, my father saw that I was trying to run for the president of the student union. And he saw my posters and he said, I'm sure this is the reason why you were expelled. Because my poster awareness was that when circumstances are beyond the ordinary, only the extraordinary stands. And my father said, how could you call yourself extraordinary and not attract expulsion during a politically charged period like this? Of course, it was beyond that. I was one of the engineers of the protest, even though I was one of the youngest and the smallest on campus in those days.
So, just detailing this story, it's interesting because when we discuss young people in Nigeria today, there's a weight of expectation. And it is good that you have shared your story. And this is indicative of the fact that when people speak of young people, it's not like, the young people today are any different from the young people,
Not at all.
from the past. And it was even worse off them because, it was you and other young people standing up to military dictatorship.
Absolutely.
For people who are conversant with history, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida was described as Maradona because he said to know how to dribble. He go
The entire country, yes.
He go they tell you sorry for front, but now they do you the thing for back. But to
He
hear
was
it,
also deadly because he was the one who killed Vatsa in a coup plot. It was a period they were dropping military officers from the sky. Yes, there was a major air crash that ruined the entire middle cadre military at that time. So it was the period that Charlie Boy sang 1990, which was how I got to know Charlie Boy, where he was singing against the continuous transition. Babangida kept doing transition program every day. He was the one who set up 2 parties. Then he brought new breeds and old breeds. He was dribbling everybody, but he was also very deadly. It was a time that a lot of people were also killed, assassinated, and that also drifted to the Abacha regime, which is another story.
So for a 21-year-old, what was the driving force? Because I mean, you had parents, you saw for firsthand the experience, how your dad had to move from Ondo State to Lagos, the dean advising your dad to tell you to run.
Yes.
Imagine somebody telling my dad, tell your son to run because they are looking for him. What was the driving force? What was going through your mind?
I have always said it that I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker. I don't know what it is, but I know that I had experiences growing up. When we were in our village, we had police invasion when I was 10 years old. That I said to myself that night.
When you were 17?
When I was 10 years old in my village on Christmas Eve, some young people went and fought police in the marketplace because they used to come for extortion. Yeah. So, and it's the time that our Lagos guys come home.
Yes.
So to show that Lagos guys fit confront police, they go rough handle police. Police came in hundreds at night, raped, beat up everybody.
Raped?
Yes, this same Nigeria police now.
Wow.
And then arraigned some of the guys. Some of the guys never recovered till today. Some never returned to our village since 1980 because of that experience. And I saw my dad in the ceiling, a grown man sweating from, our ceiling wasn't POP, it's made of mats, sweating and, hiding from police. And our brothers and sisters in the other house, because my dad had more than one wife, being dragged and my father had not been able to save them. It was just like, why should this happen to a small village of less than 3,000 people? And that was, for me, the point that I turned and said, well, this is probably not the federal government of Nigeria, but the federal government of injustice. So that was, and this happens to kids a lot. They have traumatic experiences that they live with forever. Some have experiences that they also decide on their own that they will change when they have an opportunity to do so. So that I could relate with when I then came across the real oppression, the military guys who beat up people. Of course, we were around also in 83 when they used these people they call kill and go, the mobile police.
Yes.
Used to come around on behalf of the MPN and beat up people. So Nigeria has had a very long history of physical repression. And several people have experienced it before, and we still do it today. But for me, it was that night that, while I was hiding away.
Seeing your father
hanging
in the ceiling.
Looking at my father unable. I said to myself, if I grow up and police comes to my house, I'm not going to hide in the ceiling. You understand? But I knew what my father was going through, Who's going to save him? Because we were looking for all the men in the village. They weren't after the guys alone, but they were blaming the villagers for not preventing the resistance against this extortionist police that came. So that was for me the starting point. And I told the story several times because I know people in our family who also were traumatized by that till today, They're still alive, but I know what people went through, boys and girls. One of our brothers who experienced, even eventually went and joined the police, said, maybe if I get there,
I'll change things.
I'll change things. I don't know if he was able to do that.
You said. I mean, you mentioned the fact that the raped.
Oh yeah. No, it's not only village that we experienced that. Even when we were in the university and police would come and be used to eject students. Any students, it's just not that our female students don't say these things. The first thing the Nigerian police does when there are plenty of women is to abuse them.
Wow.
It's the same thing our soldiers do. Because they just see everybody as easy target. And, they target people who are most vulnerable in these instances. So when we would come back from those long, period of school closures, our school closures were usually political in our time. Now it's ASU. But our own is when we fight the government, they'll close down the university. The traditional rulers will be begging, then they will reopen and they will ask you to bring your parents. My father stopped going to school with me to go and testify that I will be of good behavior, which is one of the requirements to resume back to school. He said, I'm not coming. After that first experience of what he saw, he said, look, I just wish you luck. Because I stopped him on the road and said, I don't know if you can fight for me, because he was already looking for people to go and beg. I said, I'm not going to beg these people. We have a strategy in place to fight back. That is where I first met Femi Falana. And he has been my lawyer since 1992.
Till now?
Yes, pro bono.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So he was one of the first set of lawyers. It was him and Sebastian Broderick's and Olisa Agbakoba, Gani Fawen. They were the first set of lawyers who would go to court on our behalf and ask that our expulsion be reversed. But the judges in those days also do not act in the interest of justice, just as they don't do now. So we will have to have another plan in place that when they resume school, we will go and start protest all over again. And when we start protest, they'll just recall us. And that's how the matter usually ends.
Because when I hear I was expelled the first time, for my mind, they expel you once, you don't go with that now.
Even suspension self this thing could be expulsion twice.
No, I was expelled twice. When I was finally graduating in 1985, the person who was our HOD told me that he has over 7 letters of warning. He said, I got to a point I can't even be giving you letters anymore. I don't know how to cope. Because the registrar is always writing letters. Even after they had expelled me, and whenever we will come back, they will still do all kinds of letters to us, suspending, warning, asking us to come to have panels that they were holding sittings that they didn't even bother to invite us to. Because they have to report back to the military that they are handling us internally, while the military is also looking for ways to handle us externally. So I've not, for instance, told you about arrest.
The question I want to ask, I mean, it might, I don't know. Do you think, because Osman Sarah asked you that question before you not answered, do you think you're switching to, acting the way against government, against this one, was a trauma that you didn't deal with from seeing your father in the ceiling?
No, at all.
You didn't think so?
No. In fact, that trauma, if I wanted to react to it the way I should have, I would never have gone near activism.
True.
Yes.
True.
Well,
Yes. My own way of responding to the trauma was a decision I made that night. But because I wasn't a direct, victim as such, I just witnessed things that are terrible. Because, beyond just what they did that night, they came back this next day, arrested some of those guys who they claimed were the assaulters of the police. And I remember on one occasion, a policeman hitting one of the guys and his teeth flying out of his mouth. Ooh. So I've seen like the most brutal treatment of persons by Nigerian police. And I would admit that in some of those instances I felt traumatized. I still cringe at, like knowing that when I was a little child, somebody's tooth fell out. I've only seen people tooth fell out in accidents. But for a policeman to hit somebody and on the jaw and the teeth just fly out, I've not seen it ever since then again, But they still do it. I can tell you that I witnessed a lot of torture experience when I was arrested by police several times, because before I left Nigeria in 1999, I had been arrested 8 different times. Both by the police, the DSS, particularly between police and DSS, but mostly by the police. In Lagos, I saw the CPO of police recently, and I told him that I had been detained in every area in Lagos. it from A to G and H. But now they said their formations have increased beyond that. It used to be alphabetical order. And the worst place I was detained was Panti in Lagos. But there's a place they call Area F.
Yes.
That we used to call Area Finish in our time. Because the moment you walk into the place, the beating starts from the police into the cell. They used to have German cells.
German cell.
German cell is a place where you can either sit nor lie down. I've also been detained at SARS before, as of 1998, where we all had to be assembled like Shandin. And I apologize, but I want to use the words. It's called Fokalaja, where they will line you up on one side and then they will order us to sleep. And the next day, somebody has to come and remove you from each other. And most of the people in that cell at that time had bullet wounds, except us. That was when I was arrested at Nuga Games in 1998.
Wait, all this time where they arrest you.
Yes.
You know the reach time where you go tell yourself, say, Emi no otito. Let me just respect myself. Because it can't be like, say, okay, today they go arrest you. Push, you go again. They arrest you, you go again. It can't be like, say, you get death wish.
Well, you know, we are all made of different clothes and we have different convictions. And I think I picked up my own conviction very early in life that it will come with consequences. Maybe I would admit that I would not expect some of the consequences that I get because you look at it and ask yourself, what did I do to warrant this kind of treatment? You know, like a police officer picking me up in 2021 and just saying, oh, this is Sowore, and beating me to the point that my nose broke.
Just because of, say, he recognized you.
He just called his Oga in the night and said, Oga, I see Sowore. It was a protest that some young people were doing. I was there and they arrested them. I was part of it because I was, during the period I was restricted to Abuja. You know, and he said, it's an SCP. He just called his Oga and said, Sowore is here. And he started beating me. You know, this is how I came about this nose. And this is 2021. So if you compare the first time I was beaten like a dog, which was 1992, and 2021, you'll be asking yourself, what kind of society am I?
I want to.
And he still had the audacity to come to court to testify against me.
I want to ask, you know, you talked about trauma of when the police came to your house and your dad was up the roof. And you said that wasn't what made you actually go into, because Nedu asked whether that was what made you. I want to ask you, did you have an experience? What was the point that you got to? Or what experience, what happened to you that made you say, you know what, let's take Nigeria back? Or let me even be president? Or let me just do something? What did you experience? What happened to you?
I think, you know, you can have conviction, but you also need consciousness. And mine was also meeting the likes of Fela, no? Because when we arrived at the University of Lagos in 1989, the students of University of Lagos were some of the laziest when it comes to activism. In fact, they used to refer to Unilag as a for show. So if you didn't have a nice car, you know, you didn't dress well, you're supposed to be tucked away, you know, because it was a school for children of the rich, connected and powerful. So we got admission on merit when merit was still part of the admission process. I don't think it exists anymore. So when we arrived, we were proud to be who we are, children of the poor who came to shake the world. So, but it wasn't that I was like an extraordinary person. The first time we came to school, there were people who wanted to go to shows. You know, I actually wanted to go to a Shino Peter show instead of, but guy came and said, you know, we have some activists on campus. So they used to have a group called the Thomas Shankara movement, TSM. And we opted to go to that. And it changed my life because then they broke down Nigeria's socio-political problems to us. Okay. They backed it up with, you know, texts, you know, experiences all over the world. And they talked about the revolution and the country could change. And, you know, after that, I said to my friend, Shino Peter can wait. Yes. And there's a battle to be fought here. That was what veered me in that direction. immediately. And then Femi Falana came to school one day. You know him. He was amazing. He just spoke at a rally. While he was speaking, they were deflating his tires.
Wow.
And when he finished, we escorted him to leave the campus. I also had experience with Fela. Most people didn't know this. I used to go to Fela's house. We would need him to come to the student union show, because it was the way to show, as a student union leader in those days, the way to show your activism is top notch. Is to get Fela to perform during the Students' Week.
Okay.
We would also have the other people, but Fela was a target.
How did you get him to perform the first time?
Well, his brother Beko was a mentor.
Beko Ransom Kuti.
Beko Ransom Kuti was Fela's manager, Kalakuta Records. Most people don't know this.
Wow.
So we reached out to him, and our social secretary was also reaching out to him, and we paid him 40,000 naira to come to perform on campus.
What year was this again?
It was around 92. But Fela had certain conditions to perform on campus. First, the stage must be ready, and he would do like a pre-show rehearsal. So he came. We had put our children. He asked for about 4 vehicles, coastal buses. He didn't ask for any special, just coastal bus. Placed it there from 9 a.m. I went to see him. We talked, and he said, "Student leader, if I come for rehearsal, if you're not ready, I'm not going to come back home." So, because we signed a contract with him, but we didn't look at it. We just signed. And what the contract said, by the time, I'm just running up quickly, is that, so he came, the stage was not ready. And he went back. When he was going back, the student said, "What are you talking about? We have paid you now. You're not going to come out." I said, "No, you're not going to keep Fela on this campus." And Fela was calm. Yeah, he sat at the last seat with his pillow. And he stood up and said, "Your people, they hold me." I said, "No." He said, "When they're tired, not my fault now. See, I'm not ready with the stage. And I have 27 women. So I will carry them, make them go fall through the stage." So I did this in France to the president of France. The teacher had a joke. That was how Fela went back. He did not perform. So we now called Beko in the night that, "This is not nice now." He said, "Have you looked at the contract?" We now rushed and looked at it. And it says there that even after meeting all these conditions, Fela is not under any obligation to play.
Wow.
After getting paid.
Yes. So we're like, we wish we knew. That was how he protected himself legally. Of course, he's always getting into trouble. But the interesting thing was that years later in New York, I was invited to come and play Fela. When they were
to act as Fela?
Yes, when they were doing Fela on Broadway. Yeah. I had the mannerism, but I couldn't sing.
Interesting.
Okay,
Yes.
So sorry.
Including the bunch was also, they also did that stuff at that time. That's how I first met the bunch. But mine was first before. It was when it was pre-Broadway that that I did the rehearsal for it. Never made it. And then later when it was on Broadway, the bunch was
Who know? Maybe you sing now. Maybe you don't leave us for Nigeria. Enter artist now.
No, I was not hoping that. In fact, I was happy that it didn't
that you
happen.
couldn't sing.
Because it was a period that Sahara Reporters was taken off. So it would have interfered with it.
So speaking about Sahara Reporters, it's been a groundbreaking platform for exposing corruption and holding the government accountable. So how have you been able to ensure that Sahara Reporters stays independent and unbiased? Yeah.
Well, so when it comes to media, one of the struggles that media owners go through is revenue. And the moment you protect the revenue side of things, you can stay independent if your objective is to be independent.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of media platforms that are set up for anyhow reason. So first, what we did at Sahara was not to rely on adverts from any government agency.
Okay.
Because adverts in Nigeria are used as a step in the door. So in fact, I've had advertisers who will advertise and will not bring the content they want to advertise. yes, they will say, no, we return their money back to them. Like, no, we don't. If you don't have something to advertise or you are not reading.
Oh, they will just pay you and go.
They don't want to, they will give you, the, what do they
The
call
content.
it? The digital content they want to advertise, they won't send it to you. Sometimes they do it deliberately. They want to see but the moment you get involved in that, forget it. Then you have somehow entered into an agreement. Their real goal in that regard is to ensure that they can prevent you from writing things that may not be favorable to them. Or that after you have written, they can force you to take it down.
Because they've paid you.
Paid you. So we knew all along that that's what could happen. So we ensure that we don't take adverts from government. In the first place, the first question I asked myself when we're considering even going public with advertisement is, what does government in Nigeria have to advertise? Is it the bad roads or the bad schools? So we made sure that was protected. And then we limited ourselves to a compact platform where we didn't have like big staff because we know we cannot afford to pay them at the beginning. And then later on, of course, to protect it further, we were seeking support from foundations who had no interest in Nigeria to support the work. And so that was how Sowore grew and became Unbiased. And we protected that. But it's a constant struggle because of the evolving nature of digital publishing.
And also the economy,
and the economic situation in the country or even outside the country. Because I remember at the point, Sowore was making up to $50,000 per month of Google ads. But all of that has more than disappeared because Google is spending less on ads that are not generating.
Yes.
For that. And then Sowore was, at that point, the only most radical platform, go-to platform. But now, everybody, in fact, individual publishing has taken over from, what used to be, news publishing. Newspapers have died a natural death. They are now in the museum. If I look for a newspaper now, it's not because I want to read it. I just want to feel it.
Wow.
Because even the editor that is publishing a newspaper that's going to be printed tomorrow already read the news from somewhere else online. So, and there was a time that newspaper, I think Punch was, I think it was Daily Times. I think there was a time they said they were selling up to a million copies per day.
Wow.
All the newspapers in Nigeria today, if they sell up to 20,000 combined, they must have been rigging the figures. Yes. Because nobody's buying newspapers.
Yeah, nobody.
anymore.
Everybody's online these
Everybody's
days.
online. People are consuming digital content in different ways. Online and offline, but still as digital content.
So, sir, how do you balance your activism and journalism together, especially when they're covering stories based on your political beliefs?
Well, I don't use my platform to promote my political beliefs. I use social media lightly. So because I can say whatever I want to say on social media without asking any newspaper to publish what I've said. In fact, most newspapers, news platforms, including Sowore, picks up from my Twitter page things I've said and said it's posted on his Twitter page. Do I occasionally ask them to cover my event? Of course I do. But I am also very conscious of the fact that you can abuse that platform and also make it lose public trust. If it becomes, your Sowore did this, Sowore just left toilet, he's going to the living room. I hated that and I didn't want Sowore to do that. So I started relating with Sowore the same way everybody else would relate with Sowore, but protecting the identity, which is to be an independent, unbiased platform for reporting news by citizens, a citizen reporting platform.
Some people will say you're fighting for a better cause and everything of the country, but your family is abroad.
Yeah.
They will say, why? Bring them back now. So that they can...
you see, there are arguments that are referred to as superfluous. They carry no content, they carry no basis and substance. There's nobody in this country who has been a leader, who didn't fight at one time or the other, who you know they are children. Everybody knew about Seyi Tinubu after his father became popular recently. I didn't know about him. Seyi Tinubu did not participate in 2012 Occupy Nigeria. Buhari also did protest before in this country. His son, I knew about when he fell from Okada. I never knew Buhari had a son. I never asked for him. So, and the most important thing is that when I didn't have children, was I not protesting? Yes. In fact, I protested to a point that no female would come near me. Yes, I had a girlfriend who left and said, good luck to you. There's no way someone like you can live long. So there's no point getting... The mom was against me. It was one of the most heartbreaking experiences I had. It wasn't traumatic, by the way. But...
You then break your heart.
Yes. I have a heart. So. But she left me and said, it doesn't look like you have a future because we graduated the same year. She was going to NYC. I had no results. No, there was no... The mom just called her and said, look, this is this guy that you want to follow. No, it doesn't matter where she's from. You know, she's a female. And she was a Nigerian.
No, but I want to imagine the mama. Ma talk how the mama go talk.
So the thing is that thing is not even about the parents or the female you're dealing with or where they come from. Every parent protects
the children.
Kids.
Yes.
But how about your wife's parents?
So my wife's parents, the person I'm married to, I met in the US.
Okay.
So she did not do her Google search very well before she got involved. She just came to me one day and said, oh, I met one of your friends. They graduated from the University of Lagos. They said you used to be stubborn. Yeah, so I was in the US now, but she used to call me refugee. They say, you are a refugee now. I say, I'm a refugee. But inside my mind, I say one day when you know who you marry.
Oh, she doesn't know now.
Wow.
She knows now.
It turns out that, she's actually more activist than I am.
Yeah.
When I got arrested,
she had a protest.
She was, I'm still upset with her that she appeared on more international news channels than myself. Because her only activism was getting me released. Me that has been doing it for all these years. And I know they even talk to me.
Question I want to ask you is, let's get into the crux, the full gist. Now, you got into, what was that thing that led you to want to become the president of Nigeria? And, apart from the thing that led you to becoming the president of Nigeria, what were the things that you went through to even get to that point to say, okay, I want to become the president? And what were the things that you went through to the point where they even hold you, arrest you, and all those things?
Well, see, I have been a president before, but on a lower level. I was a student union government president of 27,000 students.
Yes.
And those 27,000 students are actually more difficult to govern than a state. Because they're intellectually sound. They ask questions. They want to know where you stay. We had to transparently be followed everywhere. We had a parliament. The questions, even 500 naira was not accounted for. These are things that people don't know about student union leaders in Nigeria of those days. I'm not talking about the ones now. So, but I was disillusioned with politics. Partisan politics. So we never joined any parties in the 90s. And by 1999, when I was about to leave Nigeria, elections were about to hold. When I saw the candidates that were showing, I just told myself, I said, we are back to where we left. Because you see Obasanjo, who had just come out of detention, former military dictator, Olufalaye, who was the one who introduced structural adjustment program that caused this problem we're having now with Babangida. Then people don't know this now. So I just told myself. So we had a meeting at Chief Gani Fawehinmi's chambers. All the activists, they said, no, don't participate in the electoral process because you can't trust these people. I don't know if it was a wise decision. Yes. If we had participated then, I think Gani probably would have defeated Obasanjo in that. He was widely popular in the country. The people didn't want the military anymore. They didn't want any one of them. So I just carried my things and left to go to the US. And that's how I left for good. And I went to school. I went and did my master's at an Ivy League school. Ivy League being one of the 10 best universities in the US. And do you know why I went to school? It was because the University of Lagos authorities kept saying that I'm a layabout. That's the reason I was doing student union, that I cannot cope academically. So I went to one of the best schools in the US to show to them that my problem was not academic preparedness, but the fact that I wanted a society that worked. So in 2003, I graduated. And then a few years later, we went and set up Sahara Reporters. I personally wrote over 5,000 corruption stories published on Sahara, personally. When I say personally, I'm the one who investigated, researched. A lot of people didn't know at the point that Sahara was just one laptop when it was most popular. Just one laptop, yes. I bought
That's
the laptop.
Sahara where they give many politicians
As in-
business like that, yeah.
Wahala.
One laptop that I bought on eBay for $600. I still have it at home. So, but I had some guys who were helping me with editing. And so we were just publishing pictures, anything you wanted. But I got to a point as of 2012, 2014, and 2015 in particular, that I convinced myself that even the best journalists in the world cannot save Nigeria if good people don't step up and govern the space. Why? Because after writing for almost 5 years, Sahara everywhere, the politicians started becoming immune to the stories. Yes, the more you did the stories, the more just say, now my opponents, now they do And some of the best stories were coming from them, because if you write a story against a politician, he will say, "Oh, I know the guy who set it up." They will go give you the story of the other side.
That person.
Now, so it's just a flow,
themselves in
left,
legs.
right, and center.
If you even set up, then go to say you know what
Yes,
they
so-
do. Another
and
person
they didn't know who I was, because I set up like a lot of anonymous emails. You could
Like
just-
Gist lover, you were the Gist lover
Yes,
of that
so
time.
that time. But some people knew who I was, but a lot of people didn't know who I. In fact, Femi Falana was surprised the day he found out.
Are
that
you
I
serious?
was-
You're
Oh,
lawyer?
he no.
One day they just called me and said, "This is a Harry Potter that everybody shot. They say you are the owner." I said, "I'm the one." I said, "What?" I have people who I went to see, my clients, who are having blood pressure over this your Sahara matter. I said, "Please keep it up." So it was giving me feedback, So that was the point I got to. I was like, what is it that you can write about these guys again? They don't care. And the more you wrote these stories about them, the more evidence you presented, the more they stole. Ultimately. So because Sahara Reporters now became an opportunity for mainstream media to make money. They will not write the original story. Their own is just to debunk. That's how they make their money.
So you will now serve them. Then they will come say, give us money,
Yes.
come
They will
debunk
come,
wetin
or
this person
sometimes
write.
they will pick my stories because they're all on top of the story. They pick the stories,
And run
republish
with
it. Sometimes they will not even credit Sahara. They will just see the headline, London House discovered. The people will rush to them. What's the problem now? Some of them will publish magazines and with stories that I did do, and then they'll go and buy the entire magazine so that they are not in the market. So when I started hearing all these stories, I was like, I'm providing opportunities for people to become billionaires. I have no problem with it. But it's not advancing the cause for which I committed my life from my university
In the
days,
first place.
which is to bring about a society that works for
Change.
everybody. And the greatest journalism which I practice has not made that happen. That was what made me to decide around 2016 to come to Nigeria and set up a Sahara Reporters Media Foundation. But they were waiting for me. I set up I used to have an office beside where you have Cubana nightclub now and Isaac John.
In Abuja.
No, here in
Isaac
Lagos.
John Ikeja.
Yes. Before I could finish setting the place up, one guy came and beat me up. Before I knew it, police had arrested me. I'm in the commissioner's office. Commissioner is like hollering at me. And I'm like, do we know each other before? It had all been set up. That, this guy is coming home with his brand of journalism. We go show him.
And this was in which year?
This was 2016, 2017.
never
But
Never ten.
gist they go round say Sahara reporters and the person when get them follow for the people when bring Buhari through the reports when they attack former President
Sahara
Goodluck Ebele
Reporters
Jonathan.
was set up in 2006 February. Go and check. So by 2015, Sahara Reporters had been around for how many years?
9 years.
So how could the story of Sahara Reporters be the one that... You see, a lot of people who are going to watch this show or podcast never knew that I existed in 1993. And that's why they took history from our curriculum. So that even the little history that people should know about their people
Thoughts where they could
don't
connect, they
exist
would not know.
anymore. The last time history was written in this country was written about bad guys. And that's the only history that is still present. When I was reading history in primary school, on every Independence Day, they would make us line up to wait for the military guys who were stealing money. They will not even come. We will be there, rain, sunshine, we'll be singing, then nobody will show up. But when I got to the university, I had to fight against the same people in history who I was told made Nigeria great. So that's why they quietly removed history. So a lot of people don't care also about history anymore. But you see societies that are great don't mess with history. As much as they're interested in computer science, they're also very interested in
Where they're coming
they're
from.
coming from. Because
Who they are.
That will help
who they
you.
are. That will help you determine where you got it wrong and where you need to get it right. It will also help you to apportion blames and will help. It's not all history that is good, because the people who also always win write history. Yes. You are never going to get, for instance, the correct history of the Biafran War, because it was mostly written by the guys who won the war.
Yeah.
So you only have a few people on the side that fought who you can read their history, but you can't find it anymore. In this country, Ken Saro-Wiwa was killed. You know the first thing they did after they killed him? They removed his books from the literature curriculum in the schools in this country. I don't know if they've restored it now.
Talking about Biafra,
Yes.
you had a meeting
Yes.
with Nnamdi Kanu, and that sparked, in fact, I think
New York.
I think you got arrested after that
Yes.
meeting. People would say, you people are not fighting the same cause. You are fighting to be the president of the country. He is fighting to divide the country.
Yes.
People would say, why would you be seen in such a meeting? Would you like to clear that
You
air?
see, anybody that lacks any sense of consciousness would ignore social movements. That is the problem with Nigerian leadership. You cannot have a country in which there are 251 tribes or languages, and one big section says, we are not satisfied with here, and you don't talk to them, you don't understand them. Then you are not a leader of that country. The reason I met him was to understand first what his struggle was about, which I knew already. And secondly, to also advise him on the way that I think we could all work together. And thirdly, to send a message to the Nigerian people that we can walk through our differences, even at these levels. And I was surprised that, contrary to what some people are saying, he did not want Nigeria to break up. He wanted a Nigeria where the Igbo man can survive. But for an Igbo man to survive in Nigeria, as it is currently put together, Nigeria must break.
Wait, the meeting you had with Nnamdi Kanu,
Yes.
you are telling us now that Nnamdi Kanu, from what you understand from the
Yes.
meeting with him,
Yes.
he does not want Nigeria to break, to divide.
No, he said clearly that it is too late for Nigeria to come together. But he gave his conditions. We live streamed the meeting now. It's online.
Okay.
And part of it was live streamed. Some of them were private. But he said that he feels that if Nigeria were to respect certain protocols, including a referendum inserted in the constitution, and he still says it even now in court, that if he's released, he will go back and end the bloodshedding. The bloodshedding is in that part, and that a conversation can. He says that in every court appearance, that he's being held is not helping the opportunity to have a conversation about whatever it is, the unity you are begging for. But you see, Nigeria has a problem. And I've always said, Nigeria has an Igbo problem. And I'm not saying it to please people who are known as Igbos. But the moment they decided to take the action they took in 1967 to 1970, the war, Nigeria, having won that war in their eyes, never forgave the Igbos. That is the reality. And if I were to be president of Nigeria today, the first thing I would do is to head to the Southeast and apologize to them for the war. Part of it is that I'd never participated in it. And I cannot continue to fight a war that I did not engage in. And then ask them, what do we want?
So are you saying that the federal government has, even before
Successive governments,
Yes.
they've always had this anger against the Igbos?
There is a secret memo, I don't know where it is located, in government, that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. Don't give them position. Don't give them opportunity. Otherwise, they will overrun. It's a well-known fact. Even our parents tell us, Igbo. You understand? Some of them even say unconsciously. They even say it on radio shows in this country. So don't let us lie to ourselves, because except we bring this out openly and discuss, it's a taboo that we have refused to discuss.
True.
We are not going to solve the problem. It is the reason why the federal government of Nigeria feels that in 2024, detaining Nnamdi Kanu against all the court orders, against all the court rulings, is the only way to go. You know, I was detained in the DSS place for 5 months.
Yes.
There's nothing there to detain anybody. The place is not even functioning. The DSS headquarters. Yes, is it the same DSS people who are watching BB Nigeria from morning to night? No, it's true now. I was there with them for 5 months. I've said this publicly. So all the institutions in this country are broken down. But let's get back to the reality. One thing I've told people is that you are looking at Igbos as the only people who want to secede. But who in this country today has not mentally seceded from Nigeria?
Mentally seceded.
Who has not left? Except those who are trapped. If anybody in this country is working in a bank and he has 10 million naira and somebody say you can get into Canada, he will leave the next day.
I swear.
Is that not secession? Is it what of secession is that you leave a country, you say to that country goodbye,
and not do it again.
You get to the other country, you bow down, you touch the
soil.
The soil.
Anything they say, you go do it.
And then you renounce your citizenship of the country you are coming from. Is that not what they call secession? So if you want to look at the number of people that have seceded in that Japa syndrome, there are more than all the Igbos combined together who are asking to leave. And in the process of keeping Nigeria united, we have let go of more citizens than the country should have. Yes.
So you think if they had, because I mean, from the last thing you said now, you say in the process of trying to keep Nigeria united,
yes,
we have let go of more citizens than we should have.
Of course.
So if we had allowed for the division or secession of Nigeria, most of our citizens that are outside would not have been outside.
No, you see, it is not the secession I'm talking about.
Okay, what are you talking about?
It is what led to the war that we did not address.
Okay.
And what happened after the war. Why is it that Nigeria hasn't been able to overcome the Biafran problem? It's because Nigeria never addressed what the Biafrans were asking for before the war.
What were they asking for?
They were asking for to be treated not as second-class citizens in this country. Don't you know what happened, the called pogrom in this country, where people were slaughtered and their bodies and their heads placed inside the train going down south? Yes, from the north, from the mid, the different parts of the north. Are we ignoring that? So
that happened
before the war?
Before the war. That's what they call pogrom.
History.
You know, people who were settled, doing well, they were slaughtering them and sending their bodies and their heads inside calabash and sending on trains that was heading East.
Were they Easterners?
They were Easterners.
Yes, no, Southeasterners.
Why are you asking me?
President is
It's
not
there
part
in,
of
go and
Nigeria.
Google it now. So you expect that will happen, and then there was a war that eviscerated 3 million people.
Wow.
And when the war was over, you just say, oh, nobody was vanquished, nobody was
Victor.
victorious. And then,
3 hours.
but you still kept a memo and said, don't trust them.
Collect people money,
Yes.
give them 20 pounds.
And then you took their properties. Ojukwu did not get back JAMB until 1992 now, his father's house, that is known as JAMB headquarters here in Ikoyi. It was after he came back from Ivory Coast. It was Babangida, I think, that gave him back their property. So any country that is perpetually carrying out systemic injustice against will lose more citizens than they should have. The reason why countries that are work is because citizens believe in their country. And you cannot force that belief. It has to come through social justice.
True.
It has to come through economic justice. Why is it that, my children can feel like they're US citizens, even though they were born there? It's because before they let you take them out of the hospital, they must take all their immunity
Everything.
injections. You cannot put them at home and not go back to the doctor to go and complete it. And when it's time for school, they cannot be out of school for 2 days. And you'll be saying that, no, I want Shikira to go and be selling pure water. You will go to jail. So, and then when it's time for them to go to college, there is loan, there is grant,
You are talking far. If you born them in the hospital, you cannot even go home with that child if they've not approved you to go home with the child.
Not only that, you cannot even
child,
throw your child up in the hospital the way we do it here. Now we just start playing with your child. You can't. You're not allowed to just let your child fly in the air. They say you want to ruin their brain. When we were born, we see happens now. They will put hot water in your ass. They will be murmuring. They will be using hot, a rag to be pushing your head together. In the process, maybe that's where they ship some of our brains.
Now why no correct?
So it is fundamental that we understand that what makes people feel like citizens is what their country has to offer to them. And then they in turn would offer something back to their country. Sometimes their life.
Yeah.
And it's a question people ask me, why would you have all this life and come back and be suffering here? I said to them, we are built differently. Some of us, this is how we've designed our convictions. There are some of us that even fight for country we have never been to before. I fight for Palestinians. I fight for South Africans. Why can't I fight for my own people? Nigerians. 200 million people on the largest continent on earth.
Still on the election.
Baba, wait, before
thing.
election, not verse, before election.
No, based on the last thing that he said.
Okay.
Sorry, my brother.
No problem.
You said you fight for Palestinians, you fight for South Africans.
Yes.
Why can't you fight for Nigerians? I mean, maybe this question should be later end, but let me just bring it up before I forget. Do you ever regret fighting for Nigerians? Because there are some times that you go online, you see some things. I look at the people I'm fighting for. They are busy talking about cruise. They are busy talking about who is fighting. They are busy talking about whiskey.
Some
and
will
everything.
even say Zukwani.
Some people now say, Sowores, Zukwani,
Rest
you
now.
too rest in Jesus' name. Do you ever regret fighting for these people?
No. The only thing people must understand about fighting for people is that it's a thankless job.
It's a thankless job.
Yeah. If you expect something from it, you'll be very, very disappointed. And that's where the trauma comes from for people who sometimes will just get arrested by police one time and you never hear from them again. Because that period that you have expectation for people to rise and support you, and if they are not there, it traumatizes people a lot. I know what it is. It's really part of reasons why if I hear that somebody is suffering oppression, I intervene in the best possible way I can to get them out. Because it's a very slippery slope. But for me, I don't expect anything from anybody. I don't expect to be paid. I don't expect to be praised. If I was expecting something from people, when I wanted to start Sahara Reporters, I would have been putting pictures of rich people. It's the easiest way to get rich. Just go to their weddings,
Form magazine.
Put
No
them
shade.
there in the best, ask them to bend, and take nice pictures of them. That's not the way to offend people. But I took the route of offensive journalism. And that means you are fighting powerful people. And powerful people are very powerful in such a way that even some of the most reasonable people can be asked by powerful people to work against their own interests.
And
they will do it.
And they will
do
gladly
it more than the people who are oppressing them. And that's what Nigeria has shown us. Some of the people who are most virulent in attacking people who are doing good themselves don't benefit anything. It's called programming.
True.
They've been programmed. That's their own default position to fight, first and foremost, the person who's for them. And lastly, if at all, the person who's against them.
Interesting.
Yes.
So my question is on activism
Yes.
and activists. Now, it's good that you have mentioned, and I'm sure that many young people can go on Google now and find out more information about some of the people that you have mentioned. Some of the people where maybe being talk say, who is this Baba is doing too much. Shebi una don't hear the story of Baba Femi Falana. So just do your own research.
Exactly.
Make people say, people they went on, they do so many things.
Insult Falana.
And you have mentioned people like, Gani Fawehinmi, rest in peace, Anikulapo Kuti, Beko Lari, so many people,
Sankara.
But I want to ask a question, because we have seen activists well celebrated now become something else. I don't want to use them when they're too strong, but I'll give an example.
Yes.
One of the most popular labor leaders in Nigeria or in Nigerian history is Comrade Adams Oshiomhole. Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, all we needed to hear was him say, we are going to shut down the country. And everyone would rally and do so. He contested on the platform of the Labour Party, won the elections, had his mandate stolen, went to court. I remember Okada riders accompanying him to court. In fact, police come begin the beg, say, if they come, make people no follow him. Because they could feel that wave. He retrieved his mandate. The Supreme Court, returned the mandate. And then he switched political parties. Became the chairman of that same political party, and was even captured in a video footage saying, if you come to our party,
your sins are forgiven.
Now, as a young boy who grew up in Isolo area of Lagos and who sometimes had to wave
Nigerian flag.
No, green leaves. Because that time when
protest,
riot happened,
yes.
people go put them for their windshield. Just thinking about it now and looking at the situation now, I begin to wonder, does activism have expiry date?
Let me intervene.
Thank you, sir.
And I will tell you, with benefit of experience and history, Oshiomhole was never an activist. You can go and check this out anyway. And I will send you, after this show, a press conference we did in 1992 or so, where Oshiomhole and a guy named Pascal Bafia, he was the former NLC president, had a deal with Babangida to increase fuel price and supported it.
In 1992?
Yes, I did a press conference where we named him as the enemy of students. What? Because of what he did. When they first started this whole fuel increase, Oshiomhole was part of it.
Wow.
Oshiomhole was never part of the pro-democracy movement. He was one of the few labor leaders during Abacha's time who was living in Abuja when all the activists had run away from this country. And I've said this several times. What Oshiomhole was doing at the period you are describing is what we call organized outrage.
Organized outrage.
You go and meet Obasanjo, Baba, increase the fuel price, we will fight small. You will come put them back to the place where it's supposed to be. You are happy, I'm happy.
Wow.
That was what Oshiomhole was doing. And I've said this openly, but since you have greater reach, he can challenge me that I said, and I'll send you a copy of the press release and press conference, not even press.
The conference itself.
We sat at the press conference, invited the press, because that's how we communicated during our days. We did a lot of world press conferences, and we went after them. In fact, when Abiola's election was annulled, part of the places the students invaded was the NLC secretariat at Yaba. Because They were in bed with the military, Pascal Bafiao, and Oshiomhole. Them, they were the labor leader. He didn't start today. This Oshiomhole you are saying, he has been doing labor leadership for a long, long time. So they were the part of the labor movement that sold out. Kokori, who was in Pengassan and
Frank Kokori.
Yes, they were the original people in labor who really shut down the country, and they were arrested and kept in detention. Look, I think Kokori was released after Abacha died. Wow. Ask why nobody arrested and detained Oshiomhole. Even small me at that time, I was going in and out of detention, including by DSS. If they detained him, it must have been an arranged detention.
But you get one video when they tear gas ammo under Obasanjo.
And that's why I say organized outrage now. You can arrange police to tear gas you. Yes.
Wow.
They can arrange police to tear gas you now. But that was under, we are talking about serious fight against military.
So
now.
the one you just said now that is scattering my head now. Because I'm now trying to marry it. Because think.
So we have activists for a reason.
Activists for a season. For a season.
Yes.
Activists for a reason and activists for a season.
You mentioned earlier that he was the most prominent. He wasn't. The most prominent labor leader in Nigeria is Michael Imodu. And he was one of the people, first in Nigeria's history, to be restricted to a city by the colonial masters, Auchi. The second person to be restricted to a city was Obafemi Awolowo, Lekki. Not this Lekki where you people are. There's still a real Lekki after Dangote refinery. Yes. That's where the real Lekki is not. It's a real Lekki town. Is after Dangote refinery.
Not the first one here.
Not the faces you have here. And then the third person, of course, was myself in 2019 when I was restricted to Abuja for 3 years. So when you are talking about real labor leaders, don't mention Oshiomhole.
What of Joe Ajero?
It is a secret in within our circles that everybody knows Oshiomhole, to be a Agaracha labor leader.
What of this Joe Ajero now?
Well, Joe Ajero, as far as I have seen, doesn't seem to have a problem with the government. I think it's the government that even have a problem with his little activism. And I've told him that we need to know who is after who. Because how can you be labor leader in this period and the government is comfortable with you? You understand? You can't even do a strike for more than 1 day. I attended one of their strike. It was supposed to be for 2 days. The middle of the first day, they have disappeared on us. The second day, they didn't even bother to tell us. And so since that time, I have respected myself, So because, anytime where you see activists for Abuja, we get business card, they run.
Activists will get business card.
So just pack it.
So wait, I want to understand something.
Activists when they Abuja will get business card.
So what you're trying to tell me now is this Joe Ajero that is shouting, why do people increase fuel price?
You must revert.
He must revert.
Immediately.
So it's government that is even telling me, Baba, come. They strike.
Yeah, exactly. No, if they want to strike, it is the government that you will see in their action. Any strike that you do, by 12 noon, you're always inside the villa. You understand? It's like, did you even plan to be? Were you in the villa when the strike started? Because the next day, they're already in the villa.
You don't buy tickets.
Yes. I don't understand those kind of strike. In the days of real labor leadership, when labor leaders organize strike that's going to hurt the government, they disappear. They go underground. You can't find them. Yes. In our days, some of the labor leaders that we used to work with, do you know where we used to hold meetings? At Ojuelegba. There's a place called 42nd Avenue at Ojuelegba. At night, it's a red light district. Now there where they hold meeting because police no fit suspect say
that kind of thing happen there.
Because at that time they don't already arrest Bear, call them Ghanaian, then they don't raid in chambers, kill they shot one of his guards. So nobody was going to any of those official places to guard. In fact, the day Abacha died, we were in a meeting with a guy called Ziki Rulai, and Zik is what we call him. And somebody just said, go and listen to VOA or it was VOA or BBC that Abacha has died. We said no, only to go out and see jubilation. Policemen flinging their beret from that Western Avenue police station. I think it's area A on the street. It's the first time and last time I hugged police from Lagos. Everybody was, and I was asking, but why now they shoot us now? We said, what do we do? But that's another story for another day.
I want to ask. Sorry, husband. I want to ask. This person now organized what's it called? Outrage. This that. Who can you say, or which people can you say in this government? Because let's say in the next elections you come out and you win. Who can you actually work with? With the people, I mean, you can't avoid them. You can't throw them away. Who can you actually, or which people can you actually say, okay, I can work with this person. I can work with this one. Oh, this one is nice.
Very dark man is organizing this thing.
No, you see, it is not as simple as that. The people that you can work with are there. And a lot of them are underground as well. There are a lot of young people in this country who are conscious, by the way. But the prevailing circumstances is such that a lot of people cannot even come out and function. There are people in the diaspora who you can work with. If this country starts to function just a little bit, just like Ghana, a lot of people will return back home. All this one where I
agree.
They don't already jackpot, they go jackpot because even jackpot itself is trauma that people had not anticipated. A lot of people who left this country didn't know what they were going for.
Yes.
Now they have reached that destination. It's not the destination. Nigeria is the only place, or being abroad is not defined. You are just a glorified stranger.
But the rather still be there than still.
Yes, but you prefer to be there because at least it gives you a sense of dignity as a human being that your country has robbed you of.
Yes.
The fact that you can walk out of your house, go on the streets, you can buy a car, you can own a house. But the question when you start growing up there is, do you really own the house? Do you own the car? Is this where I want to be? Especially when weather is not favorable. When you have that winter depression, where you start to ask, my mama, make I come back, or understand that. So there's a lot of things that goes into that psychological state of mind. So, but the question is, who can I work with? Of course, there are a lot of people we can work with. A lot of people. But should I start naming them?
Just name one or two.
It's not necessary, because I have demonstrated over time that we can find people who have courage and people we can work with. So one of the things I tell people is that if you can find people who can fight for Nigeria, you should be able to find people who can do even less dangerous. It's more dangerous to do what I do now than to govern this country. It's easier to govern Nigeria.
Yes.
Because the president of Nigeria is in London. He's just issuing circulars and some of them are text message. So you can imagine how easy it is to be in London, flying in a jet that is $150 million, staying in one of the best hotels or houses over there.
Do you have a problem with this government?
I have a problem with anybody, for that matter, who has misgoverned Nigeria. And that's important.
Do you think this government and the leaders of this government have misgoverned Nigeria?
Of course. It's not that I think, I know it.
Do you mean, our president and everybody they've misgoverned the country?
Yes.
And how do you think, why do you think so? What are the things that you can point to that say, okay, now what it make me feel, say, okay, this person don't misgovern Nigeria and this person don't misgovern Nigeria?
Make we go the road where I take come here to this estate. Just let's start from there.
True that.
Now, you say, if by just the road, because someone will tell you, there are bad roads everywhere.
No, there are no bad roads everywhere. There are a lot of places where there are good roads in the world. So I think part of our problem sometimes is that we always choose the worst things elsewhere to compare what we have
and
here.
console
ourselves with it. There are no bad roads everywhere. You can have percentages of bad roads in some places because some of us have been maybe, I won't say lucky, but we are exposed enough to have seen, I've been to 30 countries around the world. And I've been as far as Australia and as close as Ghana. So people cannot just make a blanket statement that there are bad roads everywhere, there are bad schools everywhere. No. In those 30 countries that I've been to, I've seen some of them are like small countries like Barbados, in the Caribbean, where there are good schools. And the entire length of this place is 26 miles square. That means if you are driving from here to Shagamu, you're already covered.
They don't cover the full country.
They don't have oil. Their water is made from desalinization. They take salt out of seawater. They provide it. The electricity is made simply by also using seawater. So why should we say that there are bad roads everywhere? When you go to Ondo State, I'm just using one example, between Ore and Akure, the road has been awarded 20 times for dualization. And somebody chopped the money, and you are saying there are bad roads somewhere, everywhere. We can't be saying that now. We have to be fair to ourselves too. That we must demand from these people, the people who have governed Nigeria, that they owe us a responsibility to account for everything that they are paid for, and that they have been entrusted.
And they've also promised to give to.
The promises may not even be something you can hold them. The truth is that who makes promises anymore? If you go and ask Tinubu now that he promised you something, he can completely deny that he never promised, because he never went to any debate. He did not do any interviews. Not even with his own TV station did he interview with during the election.
Which is his TV station?
TVC. Yes, owner of TVC. So he didn't interview with The Nation, which is his newspaper. So where would you get the promise from, apart from what APC told you they will do? He can tell you already. Somebody who is denying that, somebody who is saying that the last government is bad, as if he didn't know he was not part of the government. You are the national leader of APC under Buhari. You people are the ones who were enjoying the government. You are the ones nominating ministers, special assistants, and collecting contracts. Suddenly, you are telling us that you are not part of that government. So
there are people. Do you have any sort of relationship with him, the president?
No, because it is part of what I'm saying. That
no relationship whatsoever.
None. If you have relationship with them, they don't even have to tell people. One of their assistants will put it out. Say, which can Sowore be that? Common text message where Idris Abdul Karim sent to Koyamo. Release them. Just WhatsApp messages where people they take play. They go release them now. Say, which can Sowore be that we don't see them for our area before now.
Person we just come collect money. So
I've only met Tinubu twice in my life. First in 1999. When he came from abroad after the whole military rule and he was running I met him on the street somewhere. I don't want to describe his state. I've said it. It's not necessary on this show. And then the second time was during the Presidential Peace Committee that we had in 2023, where he sat next to me.
I
then he was.
I think he shared it.
I saw the video.
He was struggling to have my program with him. And I said to him, because when he came in, he said, President Sowore. I was like...
He called you a president?
Yes, no, they don't have problem with that. It's what the Yoruba say, they just look at you like these crazy people. Let's call them whatever they want them to call them. And then
President
he
Sowore
stretched his hand, not his right hand, but his left hand to shake hand with me. So I quickly, just because if it was photographed, they can say that maybe we are in some kind of secret call together. And it might even make this assertion to be more, legit. Don't you see that they shook hands?
They get
some kind of way.
Yeah, they will say they'll be Ogboni now. You understand? So get where they meet. So I quickly removed my hand. So he was...
You don't shake him?
No, he shook me, but I also shook him with my left hand and removed it. I think, and I've been told that his right hand is bad. Yes. I'm not a doctor, but
Okay.
I think he's struggling with the right hand.
Mm.
So his first attitude is to protect that. And you notice that when they are shaking the right hand, most people will use two hands. They hold it first and shake it.
Okay.
It's AIDS. They do that a lot. So, and then I started focusing on the program. And then I started looking at my program. And then next I see he was struggling with me to read my program. So I said to him, so you have your own program. Now because he has two programs, one on the right, and he just said in Yoruba, "Jeka now." So I left the program for him. Because in my mind, I'm thinking this guy wants to prove that I'm close to him. And like cameras going off
All
everywhere.
over.
Interestingly, nobody then showed the point where I was talking to him. The only part of the program I saw was where, in fact, one guy went and made a whole show about it that, I was talking to him and all that. Then the chairman of their party, Ganduche, kept him busy. I think they were afraid that he might fall asleep. So he just kept talking to him and talking to him. And he too kept talking throughout the event. I remember specifically when Buhari was reading his and he was making fun of Buhari. He said, look at this one. He wants to use currency to solve Nigeria corruption problem. He was just like soliloquizing throughout the time. And at the point, even Ganduche was like, calm down, because people could hear him just mocking Buhari, and I was sitting next to him. I was between him and Peter Obi. So I just focused throughout because in my mind, I think he was trying to create a scenario where it will be believable that somehow
You guys
I
are
know him.
cheese pals like that.
And I've never
so
met
political.
him more than those 2 times in my life.
Wow.
Okay, so
Yeah, Tony, you wanted to ask a question.
yes, sir. So you've run for presidency twice now, and you've been fighting for major political reform, right? So what do you see actually as the major obstacle preventing you from reaching the systemic
The goal.
change that you envision for Nigeria?
I do believe that there's nothing that is right in the country that could make it possible for a just and fair situation to arise in this country. It's not just about me alone. Because we've reached a level that even if tomorrow everybody decide to vote for me in this country, somebody will rewrite the result to favor the person who may not even have participated in the election.
Wow.
And they will announce it and damn the consequences.
And nothing will happen.
And they know that nothing will happen. They, of course, will tell you, go to court. But
That people
don't
are
forget, they are the ones who just appointed 11
Justice.
justices into the Supreme Court. In the US, if a single judge of the Supreme Court is to be appointed, the whole country will shut down. Everybody will be asked, are you his classmates? There will be hearings upon here. Here, I don't even think if I ask you, you know the names of the 11 judges that were nominated by Tinubu into the Supreme Court. You might know that of the Court of Appeal because it's Wike's wife was one of them. So that one was
And
one.
the lady too.
Yes,
That-
it was Wike's wife that put those ones in trouble. That's how we got to know who they are. But that's the kind of country you are in. It is the reason why in 2019 I then came to a conclusion that we must have a hard conversation about how to make the next move. And I seriously believe that only a revolution can bring about that order that we give life to the good people of this country.
I was coming to that place to ask you,
I
why do
know.
you think revolution?
Because in every circumstance where a revolution has happened in the world, all the objective conditions that are here were present. The only thing that is the ingredient we haven't added to it, the Maggi that we have not added, is a conscious populace.
For revolution, when you maku, people will die. When you
No,
maku-
it's not. See, let me tell you.
Because the kind of revolution that I'm...
On October 1, we had the protest. We're supposed to be a nationwide protest. The police were afraid to kill people because they killed in August.
Hi.
Yes, a lot of people. But do you know the number of people that died in a boat capsized in Niger? 160. So is it revolution that killed them? But it's the condition of their country that led to that situation. Because if Nigeria were to be functioning, it's preventable death. I'm not saying that people will not die, even if the country is the best. I mean, Florida just went through a major flood.
And they're still going.
People died there.
They just went
but
through,
the reason why you are not panicking about it is because, they have a government that at least will bring helicopters, will bring rafters and rescue people. I'm sure that they're even rescuing cats now.
Yeah.
So that's how important the life of a cat is to them than our life is important to our government.
Chai.
So you could be in any situation and die. Anything can kill you in this country. A whole luxurious bus can fly into the river. Nobody is even making any attempt to rescue them. So it is not the fear of death. It's not the reason why we should not advance a different political agenda.
So as you do now, you know they fear death.
Well, it is not something I argue anymore because I never knew, and I'm sure you hear this from a lot of people, that I will live to become 50. I never thought I would live to become 30 years old. Yes. When I was living in the University of Lagos, death was hanging all over me. Because I wasn't only after the military. It got to a point we also had to fight internally against cultism on campus. And I was attacked by cult gangs on campus. So, when you open the face of different, enemies around you. So, but I have lived a life in which I don't even watch my back anymore because it's no longer necessary. I can't protect myself. And I do not believe that anybody can protect
you. Also worried for your family if you're not protecting yourself. How about your family? Because if they don't feel reach you for here, they go feel see reach your family there.
No, but you can reach my family. But those ones at least have a general belief that they can be protected by their own
government
leaders, their own country. But let's also be very global in our thinking that the struggle for liberation, when it gets to a point, can reach you anywhere. I wanted to mention earlier that when I met Nnamdi Kanu in 2019, he said to me, "Are you going to Nigeria?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Are you mad? I just left Nigeria. They came to kill me in my house. They killed 28 people."
Wow.
And I remember telling him, I said, if you are still doing this Biafran thing, you are not safe anywhere. Because there's a global interest to keep Nigeria the way it is. So
global interest.
Oil can keep flowing in direction of multinationals. There are people whose interest is to make sure Nigeria doesn't progress so that the black man will not find his feet globally. So anybody who is also fighting them here, you are fighting that global economic interest. And that is what was clear to us during Ken Saro-Wiwa's death. The world could have saved Ken Saro-Wiwa. Even Mandela refused to make the call to Abacha. Or he said he called Abacha, Abacha didn't pick. All of them could have made that call and said, look, if you touch this guy, we are going to give you hell. But because, Ken Saro-Wiwa went and pressed the red button, which is oil. Do you know why Ogoni land has over 62 billion cubic feet of gas?
62 billion.
This is not even oil.
Gas.
Because what most people don't understand is that oil is going out of business. But gas is going to be around for a long time.
Yes.
So that is what they're interested in protecting. And the guy who starts saying, we own the thing, I was like, what's your problem now, guy, man? And they finished him. Global conspiracy. It's the same thing they did to Kanu now. How do you think that Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya and brought to Nigeria and there's no manifest of the plane that brought him to today? Even judges cannot ask for it. How did he get to Nigeria from Kenya? Who was the person who abducted him from the underground garage? Who was he expecting that made him to drive privately to that place and got kidnapped? Who are the people that kidnapped him? Because the Kenyan government came to court and said, we're not aware. We don't know who did this. You cannot. Is it possible to fly a plane, a private jet, out of an airport without two governments getting involved? How can it be more secretive? It's because There are global conspiracies involved too. And it was as if I was being prophetic. The day he was brought back, I was at the Federal High Court. No, it was Court of Appeal, and they said, Kanu has just been brought back to Nigeria. I said, how? They put a hood over his head, even in court. I ran down there. Before I got there, they had already arranged some kangaroo, with the judge. The judge said, go and detain him. And that's been his situation since then. That's been his situation since then. So I'm saying that we are also conscious at our level that we are not also dealing with local interests. And that there are, and I think my family understands that. Because don't forget, my younger brother was also killed a few years ago on his way from school in, close to Benin City. My direct younger brother. And see, today, the police did not disclose to us who did it. Even initially, they said it was Fulani herdsmen. They sent us some pictures of people they claim were Fulani herdsmen. But my younger brother was killed at a police checkpoint that they claim had been vacated by the police. So, yes, it's heavy.
Global conspiracy to keep Nigeria where it is.
It is, yes. Anybody who is doing this who doesn't understand that is not ready for a Nigeria of the future.
But people would say the definition, except you have another definition of your own revolution, but the main definition of revolution is forceful, takeover. And like Nedu said, bloodshed and stuff like that. How do you intend to make this work without also endangering the... Because Nigerians are scared. The truth is, Nigerians are scared to die.
They are fearful people, yes, I understand. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can, under any circumstance, get total liberation without a fight.
Yes.
Because even protests, they shoot at people. But what makes a revolution sweet is that it's the numbers you introduce into it. If a huge number of people can convince themselves that it's time to move and they move together, you have limited casualty. You have limited casualty because the people who want to kill you will be outnumbered. That's why revolutions are very popular and sweet. But to say that somehow I can guarantee you that the day after we will not count some casualties, including some of ourselves.
Do you think we'll ever get there where we'll say all of us will revolt?
Yes.
Do you think we'll ever get there?
I believe so. And I just hope that when we get there, it will be done by reasonable people.
The question I also want to ask you is, this one that you just said, you just hope that it will be done by reasonable people, which means it can be hijacked and turned into something
It's not hijacked. It just means that,
people who have the interest.
It's like you have people who still speak English and grammar now, who are leading some of these movements. It could get to a point where it could just be like people are tired of even the grammar speaking.
Well, no one hear anything.
They just want to shut down everything. And it's exactly what Ken Saro-Wiwa was saying when his last statement at the tribunal that Abacha set up to kill him, that he will be the last person to use non-violence to solve Niger Delta problem. A few years later, you saw what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Another question I want to ask is,
you saw armed struggle, full scale in Niger Delta region. And Niger Delta region has not recovered from that today. Had they listened to Ken Saro-Wiwa and started addressing the issues of environmental degradation, economic justice in the Niger Delta region, as far back as 1995, we wouldn't have had an Asari Dokubo, a Boy Loaf, and the rest of the guys who went and started the next phase of the struggle in Kayama.
Now, the question I want to ask is, if I be you, I probably would think this way. Because the people you're fighting for, I've asked you this question if you regret it. Another side of the question is, do you think if Nigerians were thinking differently, if then they say, okay, we go stand behind this person, say things for they different? Because I remember during the election, now only one person, now I know, with the shout, Sowore, if I go vote anybody, it was Daddy Freeze. So I know, no, Sowore. If not get sense, do you think Nigerians really know what they want? Well, or we are just moving by...
What I would tell you is this: the situation of Nigeria today was properly planned.
Oh wow.
Yes, when they started defunding education in the 70s, and then removing free education, healthcare, they were planning for the citizens that you have today. Yes, because the easiest people to lead are ignorant people. And you will find out that the last set of people who can still stand up in Nigeria today and speak with dignity are some of the people who had free education and some of them who went abroad to go to school, funded by the Nigerian people. And some of them, regardless of what happened, they will never leave this country. So we have to be careful not to also be too hard on the victims. Because all these people you are talking about, the people who hate you and I for speaking truth, they are the victims of the Nigeria that has been programmed to fail over time. So when they were doing structural adjustment program, and that's why I was telling you about the global conspiracy against them, they knew that it will produce this kind of country. Now they know that this economic system will be broken. When they are saying don't fund electricity, they know that Kaduna textile will collapse because they can't afford. It is easier for you to buy Ankara from China today.
Yes.
And very soon, Gary. It's cheaper.
Very soon, Gary.
Yes. China is actually have taken the Gary technology to China and they're going to be importing Gary here if they have not started it already.
Hey.
But if that one is too far from you, what about the cashew that they are reprocessing in China that you are buying in your supermarkets now? Cashew, yes.
At Uturu, there's a large cashew absu now.
Yes.
There's cashew plantation. Uturu is cashew.
All the timbers that are leaving Calabar, they are going to China to be processed and sold back to you, or Turkey, and sold back to you as bulletproof wooden doors. So if the moment you don't have that capacity to process your raw materials, you have lost out. And that is what they were doing with structural adjustment program that people didn't pay attention to in those days. So Nigeria did not happen to the victims you are looking at overnight. And then when they came with the distractions, and entertainment was supposed to not be a distraction. But when it got here,
it became a distraction.
I was in the US when they were doing Big Brother USA. And some 20 years later, I came back to Nigeria and they are still doing it. The people who started it in the USA have forgotten that they even did any show like that. And I was like, wow, what a fundamental distraction a society could get. But don't also forget that education doesn't come from classroom alone. Sometimes it comes from suffering. Yes.
Education doesn't come from classroom.
Yes,
Sometimes
yes.
it comes from suffering.
Yes. So a lot of people have also become very conscious as a result of their very horrible experiences in the hands of Nigeria. The way you put it is people that Nigeria has happened to. And that is the pool that I said could surprise you.
When you were
Novice, now I have this question.
Yes.
Novice.
Igbo I want to ask.
Before the Igbo,
Yes.
Just listening to you speak about the current state of the country and some of your experiences from the past, it is clear that when we attempt to find solutions to the problems of Nigeria, sometimes we look at it and say, is it that these people don't have sense? Or I am the only sensible one? I'll state two examples. You mentioned that the first time you were beaten by the police was in 1992.
Yes.
And nearly 20 or almost 20 years after,
2021.
somebody just called their boss.
Yeah.
Sowore did there. And
They broke your
then
nose.
descended on you.
Yes.
Now, in 2020, Nigerians came out in their numbers to ask for that rogue unit of the police force to be disbanded.
Yeah. Yes.
And call for improvement in the welfare of police officers.
Yes.
These same people that Nigerians were fighting for are the same people who turned against Nigerians.
Yes.
Some of them, not be all.
Some of them.
Because some go tell you, say, this one I do not the truth, but we not fit talk am. And you mentioned another example of when Abacha died.
Yes.
And it was the first and last
Throwing
time that you
the
hugged
cabs.
the police
Policeman.
officer.
By accident too.
By accident. So them too, they rejoiced that time, then they happy.
Oh, yes.
But when he reached to say, these same people, when we they fight against, when be the oppressors, now them then still they use.
Yes.
How does that even make any sense?
It does, so it will make sense because it's foundational. Nigeria's problem is foundational. to a large extent. So Nigeria has two major problems. One is foundational and the other one is institutional. But the foundational started first. You must look at what is the foundation of the Nigerian police. It was founded to protect the business called Nigeria.
Not the people.
Not the people.
by the colonial
In fact,
overlords.
the Nigeria police used to be called Katsina Askari. So
Askari.
They have transformed to different. At the time, it was for a regional police. So they are transformed from time to time. But just look at why they were created. They were not created to protect the people. They were created to protect their oppressors. And it started with the white colonialists. So there was never a time the police looked back and said, now people where we there for. And the people who are now programming them to do what they do, you see their curriculum, the way they train them, now still to be wicked. And to be more wicked, they will put them for barracks where human beings no fit stay for. That's how you dehumanize. That's how you do what I call animalize people.
You break them, break their
You make
spirits.
people just behave like animals by putting them in situations that animals even cannot be in. So it's one of the things I used to tell people when they say, Nnamdi Kanu, there are some people who have grudge against Nnamdi Kanu. They say he calls Nigeria zoo. I said to them, zoo that I've been to is better than Nigeria.
Hey.
I'm serious. I've been to zoos before that the animals have doctors. They take naps. They serve siesta, monkeys. They'll carry them and go. And then they'll bring them, when they have children, they have their offsprings, they'll take care of them. They will even announce it on TV. Say, this animal is just born. And celebrate for us. Say, just born, because it never born in the last 3 years. That's how zoos, animals in the zoo are treated. Which Nigeria where you see where their leaders they treat animals for
naira.
modern day zoos, so not be the zoo where they for Ibadan. And I make the lions they chop the people where be zookeepers these days because even those ones they don't be inside revolutionary mode.
Our own for Nigeria,
Yes.
now lion they thief money,
Yes.
now snake they thief money.
So, but that's what you must understand, that there's a fundamental problem with
Yeah.
how the police was set up. And is the reason we say until we have that sudden change,
Yeah.
and to wake up in a Nigeria where people understand that police is a department for law enforcement and law and order. It's not a force that should force people to do what they should not do or make people become, disillusioned about having a police. The attitude of a Nigerian towards the police, the moment you are approaching police, you start to panic.
Yeah, fidgeting.
Yes,
But
so-
if a police approaches you in a decent society, you feel good. Even when they give you a ticket,
You see the way they
feel
approach
protected,
me.
eh?
Yes, sir, we are arresting you, sir,
they will
please.
still say, sir, have a nice day. After they have given you a ticket that is $100.
For me tickets.
A police is giving me a ticket before, and after he gave me a ticket, I said, please, I've missed my way. He described the road for me. Even a police for Nigeria say, they ask me road.
We follow you. You go give us 20K.
Okay, may we go back like this. You understand? So
Gosh.
it's crazy how these things have been programmed from, and we are talking about police. It's not only police. You understand? And that is why the police as an organization or as officers can't process when you say, pay them salaries. Because which police they rely on salary?
Second question for me before I yield the mic.
Yeah.
So, if we look at the political class and those who say we want to effect change, it would appear like, you have mentioned global conspiracies. Thinking about it now, it would appear like some of us, they expect too much from people who know what thing they do.
Yes.
And that is why it is easy
We
that
get
this person is a member of this political party in the morning, and by afternoon,
You don't
the
change.
person don't become another party. Then for evening, they will accuse the person of anti-party.
Yes.
Now, those who want to effect change in Nigeria, it would also appear like maybe they don't trust each other or they are not working in unison. And the reason I would say this is because in 2019,
Yes.
yourself, Kingsley Moghalu, Obi Ezekwesili, and so many other Nigerians were of the opinion that we need to leave these two major political parties
Yes.
and go for a new one. But it be like say una self, una do meeting tire. One person no one agree for the other person.
Even now, self.
Let me answer
Peter
that
Obi
quickly.
and you. Now, be like saying at the same thing una dey
Make
do.
I answer-
Why una not join together?
Together.
Yes, I
Now
will
it's everyone
come to
ask her.
that because I know this question will come up.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, I think one of my biggest faults in Nigeria is that I'm way ahead of my time. Yes. And I'm not saying it to brag. That's what I've discovered. See, in 2019, all those young people that you saw who were saying that they want a new, they were all working for the same master. And when I saw through it,
Wow.
I didn't waste my time. I only attended one of their meetings because there are some of us that have an antenna that is called rubbish detector. The moment we see them like this, we smell them. We just tell ourselves because they don't betray us tire for university over and over. And the reason why I say this is go and ask yourself, those people, where them day today? Where's Fela Dorotoye, APC? He's a special assistant to advisor to Tinubu. They don't appoint you as a special advisor overnight. You don't get what you they do for them.
When they special.
With this special. Sure, you understand? So you go count all the people.
Kingsley Moghalu and the rest.
Kingsley Moghalu is the only one that is left out there. But Kingsley Moghalu made it very clear at our meetings that him, get problem with the old order too much because this old order, we then tell them say they don't want too much radicalism for now. Now I make them go greet Babangida for house. I be the only candidate. There's also a friend of mine from who's also serving in the Tinubu, Tokwe Fashwa. We're all in that group now. Kingsley Moghalu, I'm the only candidate. We no enter any palace. I know they enter palace. I go some palaces, but on the ground, say, they go agree, say, I know they prostrate. The reason be say, if I see Oba, they prostrate for governor, I know if they prostrate for
you
her.
again.
If I see Oba, where they prostrate for pastor, I know if they prostrate for her. So that confusion, I don't get confusion about where I stand. And I don't think that an Oba needs me to dirty my clothes before he will not say I respect him. You understand? All those reverends, we don't pass that stage. When somebody will sit down on top throne, they thought say you must come and kneel down for him.
But they kneel down for
governor. They kneel down for, and you get person where they kneel down for. We not even reach you in terms of integrity. So, and a part of the problem where we must solve with that because part of the problem is we too they over respect people where we're not even supposed to respect.
Where you supposed to say, guy,
yes,
you not go
they will
fit.
say, they be elders. Don't talk to them like that. But the truth be say, for person to be elder, you must earn it, not be by old age. You go and get what you don't do for society before they give you the title of elder. That is what our culture says. You know, fit they kidnap children, make you come graduate to be elder. You know, fit be thief for any village. When village still be village, make they come call you elder. Now people will be responsible. Now they call elder. That's why Yoruba they talk say elders no fit dey town, make picking head. Fall for one side.
Yes.
But the elders where they this country now, where they snap children neck. Now you can't tell me say they be elders. No, that's the truth. And sometimes people will say, Sowore, respect elders. I respect elders. Only say it gets specific elders where I respect.
Specification.
Yes, I get my specs of elders. People like Soyinka now, I respect them. But Soyinka no go ask you to make you prostrate for him. You don't need them. Because he doesn't need you to prostrate to be called Soyinka. Anytime when you see elders where they look for respect everywhere, under cooking pot, under carpet, make you know say it gets insecurity where they worry.
So why are you not?
And I wanted to come to
that.
So
Peter
you seen
Obi
that 2019, yeah. Peter will be on. And be say, me I get issue with anybody we don't govern this country. Whether you be local government or state or you be national, we no fit show me what you do. Make you listen,
Okay.
Because most of them no say I know Peter Obi. I know Peter Obi since when he become governor for Anambra State. In fact, I be one of the people where they support Peter Obi that time when he be governor. So when Obasanjo want take Andy back come out time, now we they report all the judgments mago where they do. We keep Peter Obi in power. But when Peter Obi finish for Anambra State, one question where I ask, we say, you will be Peter Obi, you fit send your child go any university where you build for there, no answer. You yourself, you enter any hospital for Anambra that you have governed for 8 years. Where if you get headache, make you treat yourself for there. No. And the Nigerians will talk, say, Peter Obi, I said, na packaging. Nobody knows sabi to package things. I ask people, say, you feel pack your load now, say, my next vacation, na Anambra, I won't go spend them. Nobody feel answer me. Because for me, governance not be something where you go talk, say, lesser evil. There's no lesser evil in my books. If you are evil, you are evil. If you are good, you are good. Mm-hmm. But I am not interfering with people who have emotional attachments to people. Some people, if you talk, say, like a friend of mine said, I don't care whether Peter Obi is good or is the turn of the Igbos. No, he's not. I was younger than him. The SDP guy is 50 years, even younger than me in the last election. It's the turn of the Igbos. Now I tell the guy, say, who tell you say I not be Igbo? Yes.
Are you Igbo?
You don't know exactly. Because even South Africa is what they call Bantus. Not be Igbos then be. Now from here, where they go in the Benue Trough.
Yes.
Go there.
Yes.
So if you never do DNA test, you know if you know who be Igbo. Some Americans, they now when they do DNA test, they discover say they're Igbo. Are you more Igbo than them?
Some Jamaicans, mostly Jamaicans also.
But that's on a less serious note. So I have a general disdain for non-performance.
But what did he do that you can say, now this thing where Peter Obi do? Because you mentioned that you said he's been packaged. So are you telling us that all those things
he saved money when he was leaving the office? There was money.
So where the money will save? Which bank in there?
He said he was in the
bank.
bank.
The bank
he said he was in the bank.
Fidelity Bank.
So you they accept if another person tell you that kind of story, say he said he's in the
So
bank.
are you saying he's lying?
The person will take over from Obiano, talks in a lie, the video day. Say they don't save any money. In fact, say them owe money. That the money that they claim to save, they don't already owe them to contractors. This one day, people now go cover them up because una like una candidates.
No,
I'm telling you now, this one is public information now. Nedu, not be for Wazobia where I know you.
Yes.
Yes, now. Husband material. Not be for Wazobia.
Yes.
The time where we did interview for 2019, Peter will be there outside that time.
No, you know.
That's why they ask questions that time now. So why una not come ask question for 2023? If now carry me that time for Wazobia, now go ask. You even get this man, Ukubi. Ukubi will come climb one place, begin wire me questions. But the truth is that we must all agree that in our attempt to look for something,
solution,
we had become so disillusioned that any iota of solution that presents itself to us is acceptable.
But you're not going to blame us because when person don't suffer too much.
But if I don't come join you now, yes, if I don't come join you now, you can't hold it against me. Because of all the people we don't contest for this election in 2019 and 2023, I dare among the people we know everybody pass. I'm part of every government in the last 7 to 8 leaders in this country. But I mean, enforcing them to do what is right. Starting from Babangida, make it a listener, followed by Shonekon, who spent 84 days in power. Now we drive and come out. Followed by Abacha, who then died. Followed by Abdul Salam. Yes, the one we did there now, who I challenged during the last peace where I tell him, say, make you go find somewhere, sit down. If to say now no annul 1993 June 12th election, we for know they do peace committee in 2023 or whatever time you started. Followed by Obasanjo, who we fought when he wanted to do third term. Yes.
I remember.
Obasanjo come bring Yar'Adua. Yar'Adua had died 5 months before he was declared dead. He was brain dead for 5 months in this country. Now we fight the battle to show say Yar'Adua and they come back. Followed by Jonathan, from the Niger Delta region for the first time in the history of this country, and then followed by Buhari, who had been president before. So now we are back to Emilokon. So if I tell you that I know all these people, and they also know that I know them, and I tell you that this is what they are capable of doing, and you refuse to listen to me, and I stick with my own position, and you stick with your own position, there's nothing wrong with that.
But why you not join hand, take form Votron with Peter Obi?
There's no Votron to be formed now. If I join Peter Obi, I will be going against what I have always stood for, which is that I would never support a Nigerian leader who has been president, governor, chairman, local government councillor before, who I consider non-performing. It's the same reason I would never have joined hands with Atiku. And the Peter Obi you are talking about was vice president to Atiku when I was a presidential candidate in 2019.
Yes.
So what are we talking about? Before you discovered Peter Obi, I was already running for president. And now because I look small.
Okay. Okay, so what specific policies will you introduce when it comes to the structural problem of Nigeria in terms of governance and economics? Yeah.
So I have stated that the way I would tackle Nigeria's problem is to look at the foundational one. And the most superficial thing is to bring everybody together who are living. It doesn't matter whether you are in the southeast, to create a country that is just, fair, and equitable for everybody. And I said, I'll go to the east first and apologize to the people. But it's beyond that. It also has to do with our constitution. I said it that I would never have operated with the Nigerian constitution that we have now.
Yeah.
Because it was created for the military and by the military. It's not a constitution for the Nigerian people. Every constitution has a preamble that says, we the people. This one, there was nobody there. Except the man who typed it and photocopied it and gave it to us. Those are foundational problems that you bring about by getting people to create a new constitution. And they can now design their own article of unity and relationship through that constitution. That's what constitutions are about, whether they are written or unwritten. And the institutional part, I have broken down into about 10 places, which has to do with security, power, because anybody that is deceiving you that Nigeria will make it without electricity, you should ask the person to go and shut up. It's our number one institutional problem that must be fixed. If we want to compete in the world, we must get rid of darkness. Because electricity is not about darkness alone. It is also the fulcrum of technology today.
True.
So if you cannot power the devices that is driving the world, you are not ready. You are not part of the global community. You can't produce if you don't have electricity. And if you have electricity, you will improve security. And then, so there are 10 of those things, infrastructure, we have healthcare, we've discussed agriculture, but I'm not talking about agriculture of,
subsistence farming.
Yeah, subsistence, the sharpening knife or with stone. No, we've reached a level where the governors who are driving SUVs would tell them to reduce it to one and buy tractors instead that can be, plowing everywhere and then add value to it. And then infrastructure we bring to it, we get it to where it needs to be and know how to add value. The thing that's most painful to me, I should say, is that governance is not rocket science at all. In fact, what they are doing in government in Nigeria today as a whole, that is costing us an arm and a leg, is what some people can do on their handheld devices.
I want to ask, you mentioned that Peter, you said, can somebody actually go to Anambra and take a vacation? But Lagos,
Maybe you go to Okija Shrine.
But Lagos here, right? Lagos here. People come, when you mention Nigeria, the first one, when you're abroad and you mention Nigeria, the first place they say is Lagos.
Are you in Lagos?
Yes, because that's where they feel like is the city, like where people come and, take vacation.
Nigeria.
And it is said that the present president is the person that,
built
built
Lagos.
Lagos. So are you saying that the president is better than Peter Obi?
No. I don't think you follow me. I don't rate Lagos because this Lagos that you are in today, especially this part where you are staying, if you are not a scuba diver, or you should train to become one, especially those of you who are happy to live in Lekki, you are going to go underwater very soon. That is Lagos a beaut. So I am not one of the people who believe that Lagos would have been Lagos even if it didn't have government, because it was already notorious for being Lagos. It's a historical city. There are historical cities. There are places in the world you go to that you just go because it's a historical space.
Yeah.
If Lagos was built or rebuilt, this is not the Lagos we have. This is the place I call a deodorized city.
How do you mean?
When something they smell, you can't put deodorant. When you go bath first,
then it makes it bad.
Yeah, so it will be smelling. The odor would they fight the deodorant. So that's what Lagos is. Lagos is a glorified deodorized city. This is not. A Lagos that you cannot go from one part of it to the other is very dirty. It's dingy. It's dark, mostly at night. It has no transportation, no mass transit. It has no drainage. It has no sewage.
Wow.
Do you know what it means for cities to be called cities?
So there's no city in Nigeria?
Well, it's just like asking me if there's a 5-star hotel in Nigeria. Probably not.
They say there's no 4-star safe.
You don't go. You don't.
I know. Not mind me. So I want to ask you a question. I agree. There's no 5-star. There's rarely 5-star hotel in Nigeria because we've seen 5 stars. So I want to ask you a question, sir. Do you smoke Igbo?
No, I don't.
Why do you want to legalize Igbo?
So again, it is what I was telling you. That's probably my biggest problem in life is that I'm ahead of my time, and I understood. Even from historical times, the role of, we call it Igbo because that's how to demonize it. It's actually, the best name to call it is the botanical name, cannabis.
Cannabis.
That's the coolest name to call it.
Cannabis.
And it has served as...
You will call him. Let's say they take that.
Yeah, no worry. The thing about me is that if I smoke Igbo, I won't hide it.
Period.
True that. I know.
Fact, if I just smoking Igbo, I'll be carrying the technological one around, the one that you charge. And,
yes, the vape one.
And sniff. So, but I don't, and it's because I think, my forefathers, maybe they smoke Igbo and may come day high.
I swear.
So, but it is Igbo has historically, cannabis has historically been part of a broad range of medicinal applications.
True.
True. And it's not just medicine. In fact, there's a fable, I'm not sure, maybe this urban legend, about why Indians call it Indian hemp. It was that one day they were burning a rope that they use in anchoring their ship, and they all got high. And they tried to find out, where did this rope come from? Turns out it was made of cannabis. Plant. I bought a t-shirt, and it's the t-shirt that I think lasted the longest I've ever used from California. I was asking a friend of mine, this t-shirt I bought, I want to get it again. He said, do you know that's a cannabis t-shirt? Yes. So the various part of the plant, but the one that everybody knows is the one that makes people high, which is only 3% of the tree itself. The THC, part. That's the one that makes you high. But cannabis can be made, it can be used in curing all kinds of diseases. It's a major painkiller. It is used in, stopping people who are undergoing chemotherapy from throwing up on a regular basis. It improves
Parkinson's disease.
Yes, it improves your appetite. That's why people, when they smoke Igbo, the first thing where they look for now food. You understand? So it's important that people understand that from that angle. And then I read in this country that every year the federal government incinerates 15 trillion naira worth of cannabis. And I'm asking, are you stupid? If your budget is how many trillion? 27 trillion. And cannabis is bringing 15 trillion. Just package it and sell to the people who need it.
And make far more than that 15 trillion.
And based on what I argued, the Ondo State governor at that time, who is late now,
Rotimi Akeredolu,
Akeredolu, who himself takes Igbo, went to, I think Thailand, to go and learn, I think Malaysia, to go and get a refinery for Igbo, for cannabis. Because the half bottle of cannabinoid oil
Weed oil.
is more expensive than crude oil.
Yeah?
Yes. I'm telling you, you can buy a small one, like this small
Butter.
vial for a vial, as they call it, for $55. And
A barrel
it will
of
be
crude.
finished in one night. And the barrel of crude now is selling for how much? A whole barrel. Maybe they are $79 now. So, and then you have Ogbese in Ondo State. You have places in Delta State. If you are processing this magic weed, you won't need to be going to Abuja every month to go and be queuing up for the allocations that are not coming. But our leaders don't think. They always think about, like Fela used to say, now burn, now they sweet them pass. Everything, burn it down first. Canada that just legalized, they are making $4 billion in a city. New York is about to legalize, or is legalized partially. The sale of...
Partially they have.
Yes. The sale of the license alone has already brought in almost $1 billion. Just the sale of the license alone. So a product like that, or a plant that is such a magic, and you have it, you are blessed with it, you start burning it, and they are very happy to burn it.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, anytime you see NDLA burning anything, they are not burning any Igbo. They are burning sawdust. The real Igbo has been transported to a safe place.
For sale?
Of course. That product is one of the most versatile products in this country.
True.
And you'll be shocked at the people who consume it. You look at some of us and say, Sowore, they smoke it. But no, some pastors, they cannot do without it before they go on the podium. Doctors,
Crazy.
It's in fact, cannabis is not cheap anymore. Especially the refined one, where you plug it in, and you plug in the oil. You have to be very careful with it. If you oversmoke it, it will bankrupt you. It's very expensive. Because there's, just as you have oil refineries now, you have cannabis refineries.
What would you have done different in social media? Because the truth is, there's there's abuse of social media. There are people calling out. There are people insulting people. There are people arresting people for insulting people. Recently, Speed Darlington was
Defamation.
What would you have done differently with social media?
You see, you must understand what social media is for you to deal with it as a problem. Social media serves different purpose for different people. In Nigeria, people see social media as equalizer.
Level playing field.
Yes. So the people they can't talk to,
They insult
they
you
want
anyway.
to talk to. And it is because society have not permitted them other means of seeking redress. So for them, it is just to wake up and just use it. And it is not going after social media that will solve the problem. It is ensuring that our society is socially just. The reason I'm saying so is that social media did not emanate from Nigeria.
True.
Yes. In fact, the owner of Twitter is more toxic than an average Twitter user in Nigeria. So how many police go arrest Elon Musk? He will abuse the Democratic Party people, Kamala, every minute. You go to his page now.
He was at Trump's rally.
rally.
Jumping up and down.
He's abusing the president of Brazil. He's abusing the Supreme Court judge, CJN of Brazil, their own Chief Justice of Brazil, CJB, if that's what they call them. He's abusing the president of Venezuela. But that is how he sees the platform to express himself.
Free speech.
So we must understand here too that we need free speech. But what has become a problem here is that we have free speech. The problem is freedom after speech. People are going after freedom after speech. But our position is that the police have no business being used as a tool to hunt people down when they feel defamed.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel defamed, the place to go, the appropriate forum is to seek for civil, redress.
Yes.
Using police is not appropriate because what you have is that the same rich people or powerful people are highly connected, use the same social media to do whatever they want. Are you getting my point?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody mentioned Burna Boy arresting.
Mm-hmm.
But I also saw something from Burna Boy referring to a girl as collecting 20,000.
20K.
Is she because she's a nobody? Is that more the defamation in that one is enough to make that girl to go and commit suicide? Because what you are saying is that her whole existence is just 20,000 naira prostitute. I guess that's what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
But that's defamation. And if she wants to pursue it, that can be criminal. If you're in northern Nigeria, because there's criminal defamation up to Abuja.
Yes.
But anything below that is civil offense. But what people should learn about all the social media space is that if you're a public figure, learn to deal with what the public throws at you. If the public makes you wealthy, don't forget that some other day they might throw some pieces at you. That's why defamation in the US is a very difficult case to win. Even if you go to them, they will tell you, are you not the moment the person can plead that you are a public figure, it's very difficult. There was a pastor in this country who went to the US to sue me for defamation.
Pastor Kwa.
Yes.
Which pastor be that?
He's the MFM Geo. Yes.
Kola something.
Baba Olukoya.
Olukoya. He sued me for defamation in the US.
Why not Nigeria?
He went to Calabar to sue me. He didn't make much progress because I wasn't in Nigeria. They couldn't serve me. So, but he wasn't interested in service. He just wanted to, according to him, teach me a lesson. So he came to the forum, and we were in court for a long time. And then when we reached a point, that's why you don't sue for defamation anyhow in the US. They said to him, sir, there's some allegation against you in the UK that you're taking money from your church and bringing it to Nigeria.
Hallelujah.
Yes. How do you explain that? He said, and you provide explanation. They said, but you said that we defamed you. How did we defame you? Did you lose any money? He had already boasted that since the defamation started, that his number of members of his church has increased. So they say you didn't lose anything. But can you show to us, sir, by the text messages you received, how many people felt bad because this story was written against you? I said there are thousands of them, thousands of emails. Okay, no vex. So go and provide the evidence. That's what they call discovery. Now, so Baba no come back.
Oh, wow. Then that's how you won.
So we went to the judge and said, the man hasn't proven his case. Do you know what the judge did? He awarded me $7,000.
Oh, he paid?
For his refusal to answer to our discovery request.
And a person touch, they won't give you like that.
Not so the money come out of
Like-
that. And I felt bad about it because I know it's not the
You collect the money?
Oh, yes.
Why not?
It was the time I was in Abuja. I have no money to pay my rent. So
Glory.
I just use it. I say, well, God works in
works in
very wonderful ways. But on the serious side, I'm explaining to you how defamation works.
Yeah.
It's not something that somebody can just feel like you are defamed. Because some of the things they actually call defamation in Nigeria is not defamation. When somebody is speaking truth, it's not defaming you. Especially if he can prove it. And in our own case, we're able to prove what we said. We don't even reach the level of proof when the case fell apart. Because we're proving that, look, you say you are performing a miracle. Let's say go and bring the person that who was blind, who you made to see. They now started looking for a blind person in office. Because the person that they presented as a person that was blind did not exist.
But there are real men of God in Nigeria now. No, there are real men of God in Nigeria.
It's not, you see, when you start calling people men of God, you are assuming that God is one entity somewhere who issues ID card to people to be his
servants
or men.
Or to work in his vineyard.
Even the God of Old Testament in the Bible is different from the one in the New Testament.
Yeah.
So that's why they keep reading the Bible up and down. I guess that's the reason why they also tell people not to read the Bible on their own. Because if you want to understand religion, go and read the religious text. That's where to get knowledge.
But you see, they are different. The truth is, I want
Mati
na rubbish. I want talk. Na Lord chosen. I want talk.
Please.
Sir, one more
Sir.
question before we take it home. We'll soon take it home. We have seen an increase in, this in ethnic bigotry, not just amongst ordinary people, but even people in
High place.
privileged positions, and it would appear like it has become some sort of normal in our society today. Recently, soup cause problem. Somebody even they invite DSS because they come begin they paste the address of her business on top of X. So tell the person they say DSS if anything happens to me because she shared an opinion about soup. People come begin talk say you come from this ethnic group, they say we not get soup, all those kind of things. You will be in soup.
Hey!
It would appear like people look for any excuse to just show that this is who we are, and we all deal with the same problems. What is it that you have politicians taking advantage of this and sowing discord?
Completely. It has been well noted that when people have no vision, the best tool in their hand is division.
When people have no vision, the
Yes.
best
tool in their hand is division.
So when you find people creating these divisive rhetorics, I can say it categorically that during the election, that there were people in Lagos State paid to sow ethnic division on social media. It's a well-known fact, well-funded. It was part of their election strategy to say, look, these people are going to come and collect your house. They are
Yoruba
coming to collect
Igbo
your
thing.
So, and after the election, because of the way the election, it got worse. But to think that they have stopped is the biggest mistake we can make. But the other part of it is also what I was talking about, the frivolous manner in which public opinion has also been taken by those who have no opinion. And it is the reason we fight some of these useless battles. Nigerians have a problem with bad governance. They went and started shutting down, Uber in South Africa. And they are praising themselves. We just shut down Uber in South Africa. Why can't you shut down the people who are oppressing you? Or when we start all these jollof wars, our jollof is better. People cannot even afford jollof. They are the ones who are talking about, just like I read somewhere yesterday, said some people will turn on their data, but they'll forget to turn on their brains. Yes. So that is very important. And that is why people have genuine opinions. Because part of the biggest problem, and I'll say this, is that a lot of Nigerians who genuinely are sensible, Nigeria has reached a point where the people who are sensible are afraid to speak.
Yes.
And the people who are not sensible are constantly speaking.
True.
And this was social media. So you find a lot of people who otherwise are decent, who are brilliant, intelligent, who have coherence in presentation of their ideas. The moment they put something small and 50 people start attacking them, they will never come there because they can't afford, they can't even deal with it. They can't. They don't want their children to say, "Daddy," because somebody will just somebody will just say, somebody will go into a what's it called, WhatsApp group, and they'll say, "Today we want to go and drag Sowore," and they will come and they will be like, "Did you see how we drag you?" Of course, some people are not draggable. Those of us who know how the social media space work. But a lot of people are not versed in understanding that, or the nuanced way of how people work. And the worst part is that it has reached a point where that has become a cottage industry. So there are people who are now specialists. You just say, do you want to drag somebody? Some people will even tell you that
Twitter
I know if you
influencer.
use my own influence, but you get the other guys where they assassinate people's character. Just give me 200,000, I'll give them 100. You go see what's going to happen tomorrow. That's a cottage industry that propels some of the things. But we must go to the fundamental of it, is that there are also people who profit from the distraction. And I'm sure the people in government love it when you are fighting over pepper soup.
Yes.
Unlike when Nigerians are like happy that they have been able to delay Uber rides.
Whiskey and Davido.
Or, all those distractions. The government loves it. They must enjoy it because while you're at it, it is during the period that they are fighting all these small, useless fights that they get to increase fuel price.
Hey,
Yes, it's then that they do the worst things possible.
Talking about distraction.
Yes.
I don't know if it was your tweet I saw. Do you think that the National Assembly calling our brother VDM and Bobrisky is needed? Is Bobrisky a distraction?
Look, I have to say this.
Shout out to VDM, by the way.
Yes, as a preamble, that I am not a Rolodex for activism. So I cannot tell you that this person is an activist or not. I will be going beyond my brief. I can only speak for myself. But the reason why you find it ludicrous is that of all the issues afflicting Nigeria, that the National Assembly of any type, and that's why I think we should have them cut in half, get rid of one, and the only one that exists, we should make it part-time and pay them minimum wage. Nobody, so that they will know that it's not
it's
a
work.
joke. Yes, let them go to work. We have problems afflicting the country, and then the only one you are interested in is Bobrisky. Bobrisky is just a symptom of what the prison system is. They themselves, they know that what has driven the prison to be doing what they are doing to what they did with Bobrisky has nothing to do with being Bobrisky. It has something to do with the systemic decay of the country. And where I had problem then with VDM is that the minister under whose supervision Bobrisky action happened, you now ran to him to pat him on the back. Say, Minister, I think I read that one wrongly on my side. And it then started to make me feel like maybe this whole thing was a distraction. Because in any serious country, the first person that should have been fired when the Bobrisky thing came out was the minister. In any decent country, he would have resigned because you are the minister in charge of all the prisons.
Maybe he went to the minister because the minister took action immediately.
No, which action? You want to tell me the minister doesn't know that the prison is bad? This minister, except we are just joking now. They know. They know how money goes in the prison. Now they know how prisoners are treated. Even before he became a minister, he would have known about our prisons. Now maybe part of the condition to become a minister is to spend one night in Kuje prison.
Be an alumni.
Because me, I have spent a night in death row before in Kuje. So I cannot tell you now. Somebody cannot tell me if I'm president of Nigeria that, I don't know what is happening. Before we even get to Bobrisky, I would have, it's an overhaul that must happen immediately from day one. There's nobody who doesn't know about the prison system in this country. This VIP thing they are talking about. People even go inside prison to go and shoot movie. You pay people to go and shoot movie inside prison. In this country, you may not know, but those of us who are in the sector, we know these things now. There's nothing you cannot pay for to get in prison. There are prisons that are run in this country by families. Yes, they are federal prisons. The ones in those casinos and all those things. They'll just leave one family there to be running the place.
Crazy.
Yes.
Now the family will decide who entered there.
They'll be sending people there.
And then they manage them.
So if it be two people, just they run all the money that comes in, because the prison people in Abuja don't want to be transferred to Abuja to Katsina to go and work. Because there are some prisons that are inside bush in this country that there's no even access road to it. Maybe by Okada 9 they will carry the prison and reach the place. So have you asked all these questions? So like I said, because when BDN was arrested one time, I worked to get him released. So I've never met him. I cannot second guess his intentions. But this, I can speak for, the joke that hearing was at the National Assembly. That was complete rubbish.
Let's take it home.
Yes.
Before we take it home, I have a question to ask. Thank you. I really want to know this particular. Thank you. I really want to know this particular thing because, you'll be a president one day, and I want to know how you maintain your mental health And when it comes to the challenges you face at work,
Yeah.
and also what legacy do you hope to leave behind, not just for Nigeria and for the world?
Well, for mental health, which I can speak to, one of the ways I have dealt with everything mental is to be physical about it. So as a result, I took to running since 2019. And I run a lot. And when I'm running, it helps me to decompress. And I don't mean just running small run. I do marathons. I've done like 8 marathons, several half marathons. So, but I also, unusually, I take time to sleep whenever I can. I rest without ceasing. Even when I'm in detention,
You sleep.
I sleep. The first thing I ask for when I'm arrested is a place to rest my head. Because I
used to run.
I often know that I'm not going home anytime soon. So if they say, I want to do interrogation, don't be in
Which
the
one
hall.
that don't arrest you pass? Which one arrest? They don't arrest you when they say, that arrest, he sweets me.
No arrest feels
In
super.
a sweet.
But but I've had several experiences.
What's the worst thing you can
No,
say?
you never answered the
You never
question.
answered that.
Sorry, my love. Sorry, but
I don't think any arrest was ever, but the worst I've had is not even the most recent. It was when I finished my NYC in Yola in 1996. I was arrested by the DSS on the day of passing out parade.
Hey.
They claimed that they had overheard me in a military. This place is where officers
mess.
Officers mess.
at the Air Force mess that I said the government is bad. We should overthrow Abacha. So they returned me back to the Air Force, and the Air Force put me in a guard room.
Hey.
And I was sweating for 7 days because they put chains in my hand and my legs. I thought I would die, So that was probably the worst brief.
You not chop nothing.
They would bring food, but I had no appetite. And they didn't care. Because I was just seated like this, and that's how I slept. If anybody's been to a guard room, they'll tell you. And the officer who was from the Niger Delta region came one night. It was a new brigade commander also of the place. And they had read in Punch newspaper that a copper was being detained in the Air Force, and he was upset and asked them to bring me out and they were trying to explain to him that it was my offense. They want to take me. They said, take him to Abuja or return him to the Air Force people that brought him. That was how I got released after 7 days. And that was how till today I did not have an NYC discharge certificate.
So what legacy do you hope to leave?
I'm still alive. I don't worry too much about legacy. The interesting thing about legacy is it's something for the dead and those who are alive. When I'm dead, I won't care about what you guys are writing on social media. We'll have another social media on the other end.
And you keep fighting too.
If there's life after death, I would torment Nigerian leaders. I'm telling you.
So,
Both the ones are now, the ones that we are there, and the ones that are here.
And the ones that will come.
Anyone that that time you can tell in advance. The ones that are
when it
coming to- yes.
thank you so much,
Thank you for
Omoyele
coming,
Sowore.
sir.
It's been quite the experience, and I'm very certain that many people who will view this episode till the end would see a different side of you and would understand, because some people who do not know, it's not their fault, like you have explained, think that it all started with 2023 or 2019. It's good that evidence day, and you have explained all of this. We are all committed to a better and prosperous Nigeria. Many people are dealing with families who they have not seen for years because the first born day USA, second born day Canada, third born day New Zealand, and no person where they Poland.
Yeah.
You can't ask, say, that far in search of a better life in a country that God has blessed with abundant human and natural resources.
Yes.
So as young people look for people who would inspire them, we hope that a lot more people would learn, and together we are going to attain that Nigeria of our dreams. So thanks to all those who saw this episode. We are really very, very grateful that you give us your support. Share your thoughts. Invite people to come and watch this episode and a lot more. That is what the Honest Bunch is essentially about. And we hope that we can continue to create great content for your viewing pleasure. A round of applause for Omoyele Sowore.
The Honest Bunch podcast is brought to you by Reseda, Lenfi, Seymour Global, Declan Wines, and Workman.